time for Type 40 Live, the live stream Doctor Who magazine show across your view screen on Rumble X, YouTube, and Facebook. We're covering all things Doctor Who, from right the way back then to the right here and the right now. It's all in front of a live chat full of fellow friends, fans, and companions just like you. And where to start and who is that? It was all so quiet for a little while. Now, heaven knows what's going on or where. Anything can happen, anything can be said, including from a couple of these people. My God, there's a lot to talk about. Get the comments ready. This is going to be explosive. And what can be within the pages of the Doctor Who diary? Yes, that's back too, which means he is as well. Top 40 Live. It's a good job there's nothing on the telly, isn't it? That's all I've got to say, apart from whatever that is, some sort of blob. Yes. So, forget about all that and keep it clean-ish with us here at Type 40 Live. Hello. Yes, welcome back. I'm Dan Hadley, Birmingham's King of the Geeks, within my own personal vortex. Yeah. Yes, we've got plenty to talk about. Who'd have thought it? Lots to catch up on. And lots of people to check in with too. Not just them all waiting to come on, but you too in the live chat on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X. You've probably got just as much to say about all of this stuff as we have, and we'll do our level best to bring as much of it in as we possibly can. So let fly, let it rip in the nicest possible way. Okay. Bit of a favourite of mine, this console room. There's a couple of seats, plenty of buttons to push and levers to pull, and some reading matter scattered around as well, just in case it's a longer flight than you think. Okay, so who is first? I think we'll bring in Charlotte Shields.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, good evening. How are you?
Good. It was like you said, it was quiet, wasn't it? And now BBC have sort of woken up a bit, it feels like.
Everybody's woken up. I'm not sure how involved the BBC themselves are, but everybody else is.
Everybody else is having a say.
Yeah, and I'm not quite sure what the rest of them are going to have to say about all of this nonsense. We've had some of the stories have been cooking for a few days, but sometimes I think it's better to let things sort of stand for a little while, a bit like a pint that you're not quite sure about after it's been pulled.
Well, the thing is, like, a story can get out, can't it? And then stuff can be added to it or clarified. So, yeah, I think sometimes you do have to let stuff settle a little bit.
No settling here on Type 40 Live. We only bring you the best. A crack panel of Doctor Who pundits, no less, including our friend from across the Atlantic, Mr. Gary Akers. Hello, mate.
Hello. Greetings, Charlotte. Yeah, no, I'm honored to be part of such an epic lineup tonight. This is going to be something.
Oh, it's something. All right. How have you been the last few days, mate? Because we haven't spoken in a while.
Doing well, just kind of keeping busy. You know, I haven't watched any unfortunately I haven't watched any Doctor Who. I've just been binging a lot of other old shows, but none of them Doctor Who, unfortunately.
Well, you got to cleanse the palate every now and again, haven't you?
I've actually been binging a lot of old episodes of Chips, which I love.
Chips,
it's
California
great.
Highway Patrol.
Yes, it is great.
Wonderful. Well, that got to be. I bet that finished in the early 80s.
I think it was. Yeah, it was like 77, 78 or whatever. So I've just got to like the season where they got Alan Silvestri, of all people, who went on to do Back to the Future music. He was doing the music, and it's like all like disco background music and stuff. And so I'm just sitting there, just letting it wash over me.
As tempting as it is now to twiddle some of these knobs and pull those levers and see if I can figure out where Chips is on UK TV at the moment, I'm going to stick with everybody here at Type 40 Live. I can find Chips afterwards. Remember how good that was?
Of course.
With Eric Estrada and Larry
Wilcox.
Somebody Larry Wilcox, of course it was. Okay, who's next? We've got... Now, I had thought that this was our real-life time traveller, Matt Pott, but it does seem like his timelines have been interfered with, and maybe he's been captured. captured by those terrible creatures from Skaro. What's going on?
Hello. I haven't had my coffee yet.
Good voice. Good impression.
The Dalek voice doesn't even work in it.
I think you need to put some batteries in, mate. Is this the
work
eBay purchase you were excited about when you messaged me?
Yes. I've always wanted to own one, and now I have one.
Matt obviously was the runner-up for playing Dalek Khan. It shows he would have been great based on this.
I'm Dalek Matt.
Dalek Khan, more like Shaka Khan. How have you been, mate?
Yeah, I've been good.
Oh dear. Can you actually get that thing off, or do you need an assistant?
Please let it get
weighs
stuck.
a ton. It weighs a ton. I don't know how those poor kids had to wear the damn things. It weighs.
The strap cuts into you as well.
Oh,
yeah, the vision is terrible in it. Like, you can't say. I feel terrible. It must be like a real Dalek
You've
operator
ruined the illusion.
as well. It's like you can't see
Matt, I have
anything.
to ask: has this been a bucket list merchandise item of yours for a time?
Absolutely, that and and I just want a Cyberman head as well. But this one, I think this is like one of the first ones that came out with David Tennant.
It looks like a Tennant Dalek. The
Yeah,
colours.
I've only ever seen a Jadoon one. Remember those Jadoon ones that they released? They were really awful. And but this one, this one's been out for a while. It's like 20 years. It's been collecting a lot of dust. It's got a lot of dust on it, so obviously it's just been used as a shelf user. So yeah.
Well,
So
Halloween's coming up in a couple of months, Matt.
Well,
Dust it off and go out trick-or-treating in that.
It does have voices in it too, and the lights up. But if the voice changer worked, the lights would have worked. But
Wow.
Yep.
I love the idea that Matt has sat there camped out on eBay waiting to get this at a decent price.
it just popped up. Oh, it was very decent compared to everybody's getting. If you want to get something from eBay, like a Doctor Who related merchandise, get it now. Everybody's selling it. It's a fire sale. It's really bad.
Good idea.
Oh, good for us, but yeah.
How can we possibly top that? That's the question. How can we possibly top that? I think with some returning panelists, first of all, how about this one?
I love that. That's brilliant.
That's awesome.
It is fantastic.
Simon Horton, welcome back.
Hello all. It's lovely to be back. Far more importantly than me being back is, of course, Lenny, who is here. Yay, there's Lenny. That's what everybody really wants to see. It's not me at all. It's Lenny, isn't it? That's what everybody wants to see. There we go. So anyway, it's lovely to be back. Fantastic. It's been far, far too long. I don't know how long. But far too long, and nothing sinister behind it at all. I've been away on holiday, I've been working, I've just been doing stuff, and that's why and lost in the vortex somewhere.
I know what you're thinking, Simon. You're wondering over the last 6 or 7 weeks, how many stupid outfits has Shooty Gatwa worn? How many silly things has he said? And you can rely on your friends to catch up with you on all of that. You're gonna have to hit the playlists for the bulk of it, I'm afraid. There's been far, far too much. But we do
of course there has.
All been happening this week, which I think we're going to see the delight play across your face.
See it play.
Play and frolic.
It's kind of a glazed expression already. I'm just kind of fixed grin.
I forgot how this felt. That's what it's thinking. Okay, so to complete the panel, what can possibly make this even better?
I've not seen that one.
That
Oh, that's brilliant. Bloody hell. Got stars in their eyes. I feel like I should be Matthew Kelly going out with some smoke.
I tell you what, Sarah, I don't know about you. I'm gonna do this again. I'm gonna go away for a while and come back because I'm liking
I
this
know, it's so
coming back
lovely.
bit.
Yeah.
Honestly, the welcome has been brilliant and lovely to see everybody. Lovely to see you, Simon.
Yeah, lovely to see
Nice
you
to
too,
see
Sarah.
you.
Great to see everybody. It's fabulous
Matt,
to be back.
Matt, I'm so jealous of that Dalek.
Yeah, we all want the Dalek voice changer.
I've got the Cyberman one. You know, like
Doesn't
the
work.
face mask thing with
Oh,
the voice
yeah.
changer. It's in the loft. Well,
Get it down out of the loft.
Yeah,
Wait,
go
what's
on,
it
they're
doing
going
up there?
to.
we can be a double act. How amazing will that be?
Oh, the Dalek and the Cyberwoman. Yes, brilliant.
I want to take that,
Doctor Who
Sarah.
version.
I
Look at
want
the
to
new podcast.
I wanna
New
take-
Doctor Who podcast. Something coming soon.
I want to take that Sarah video and cut it into the opening of all my Davison stories. So all my Davison stories start with Sarah there.
If you were a combatant on a new series of stars in their eyes, Sarah, who'd you be?
Who would I be?
No idea.
I don't know. I'm trying to think. What can I sing? There's somebody like Dido could manage.
Yeah, you could do Dido.
Oh,
Kind of got that breathless
Yeah.
quality. I could do that.
I know who I
she's kind
do.
of
I definitely do Howard Jones. I've been told so many times recently I look like Howard Jones. I would definitely do Howard Jones.
Oh, you'd be amazing as Howard Jones. You're
definitely
very,
Howard Jones.
very good Japan, and I will know.
Yeah,
because
could do.
I've
Yeah,
seen you
yeah,
live.
yeah.
Dido was a noughties artist, but you look like you're dressed straight out of the 1960s. This time, Sarah, the swinging 60s. Have you been swinging? That's all. What's going?
Steady on.
Not like that. Have you been to a
TMI.
disco or something?
No, not recently. No, it's just summer. It's all coming back. We've got the 60s stuff. We've got the double down in. It's all coming back.
I feel so old now. Black Club Studio. Hello, Chris has asked, who is Howard Jones? Oh, come on, Chris. Howard Jones was huge in America. Come on, just YouTube Howard Jones. Just trust me. YouTube Howard Jones.
Hit after hit after hit after hit. I forgot to mention that I'm Dan Hadley, Birmingham's King of the Geeks. Welcome to Type 40 Live. This is going to get raucous, I think, as time goes on. Don't touch that knob or that dial, whatever device you use to flip around on. We've got quite a lot to talk about as ever, and you can get stuck in there in the live chat on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X. Of course you can. Okay, first of all, I'm going to have to break it to you guys gently. We're now some way on from the final appearance of Ncuti Gatwa as Doctor,
Sorry.
15th incarnation of the Doctor. He's been and gone. It's all happened with the diamond logo disappearing off into the vortex one last time. There is good Doctor Who content out there if you know where to look. Right, Luke? Yeah? $5? Did we say a $5?
Yep.
But for official Doctor Who, obviously, you've got to stretch your way back through the past on your Hoofa Doofa, depending on which of the myriad of streaming platforms you're subscribed and paid up with. We are in the streaming age still. Numerous streaming platforms are apparently not experiencing what you could call a boom period. It does seem that there's just a flood of them across the market, and people have lost track of where they can get their Doctor Who. When the series took up its new global streaming platform based on Disney Plus, which was, when was that? About 18 months ago? Something like that. It was after the 60th anniversary specials, wasn't it? And just before the Church on Ruby Road was due to it. So when all that was happening, it came with a renumbering of the new seasons, didn't it? So from season 1 onwards. That got up our noses, as I think it did every Doctor Who fan. I'm still not really sure that we're used to it even now, but we're sort of living with it, aren't we? But imagine if you were new to Who completely and you had got no idea where to look or even what to look for, because the rights to the various different versions of it are scattered all over the place. All of the rights to pre-Disney 21st century Doctor Who, for example. So that's everything from Christopher Eccleston up to the Power of the Doctor special have remained with HBO Max for a deal that they had to play out. That was originally agreed in 2021. But that is up tomorrow. That's August the 1st, 2025. as of time of recording. Now, could this mean technically that the whole of the new Who library is now up for complete rehoming with the conclusion of the deal with HBO Max and the inevitable closure of any deal whatsoever and tie with Disney Plus, either to produce or to home it? This is going to affect a lot of people overseas. Obviously, all of this material can still be found on the iPlayer in Britain, Charlotte, but HBO Max have just rebranded themselves again. They're clearly having a clean of house. Doctor Who disappearing from such a large platform and so many seasons and specials of it. This is going to affect the way a lot of international people in North America get to access the show.
Well, I always found it really weird that you had all that song and dance about Disney Plus being the new home, Disney being the producer, Disney money, like all that talk. And then all the old episodes were still on HBO. So it was like Doctor Who was like in these two camps throughout the whole of this run. And now it makes sense that if the HBO side is coming to a close, then it probably will find a new home. But that also shows to me that whoever gets these episodes doesn't mean that wholesale they are going to be all in for new Doctor Who, possibly. Because this has shown right now we have lived through one camp producing new Doctor Who but not having the back catalogue. So that could happen again quite easily. It doesn't really sort of tie them down either way. It just means, like you said, we might have another situation where the rights are a bit everywhere again. That's happened lots of times throughout. Doctor Who Classic has had that, hasn't it?
So what you're saying is that this needn't be indicative of the imminent announcement of a fresh deal, particularly anywhere. It could be just a coincidence that it's ended just after the latest season.
I think it's just contracts having their natural end date, like you said. This has been for a long time with HBO, these episodes. There was always going to be a point when they could let them go. And it could just mean that whoever gets the back catalogue doesn't mean they're necessarily going to be producing any new episodes possibly in the future. It just sort of shows how, like you said, in the streaming age nowadays, things can be very, very messy and very confusing and very all over the place.
Surprisingly portable. HBO Max are making quite a big deal of their latest of several rebrands. They were just called Max for a time. Now they're back to being HBO Max, Gary. I mean, what sort of profile do they have in North America? And do you think this absence, even short term, will be felt?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's so many thousands of channels over here that nobody's ever like lacking for anything to watch. And like the diehard fans, you know, either already have it downloaded to their computer or have the physical media or whatever. And I was thinking, Charlotte was talking, you know, some of these shows, like at least over here, like some of the long running things like, you know, NCIS or Law and Order, they're on like 6 or 7 different stations. I mean, you can stream around, go around your cable directory, and you'll see these certain shows on multiple, you know, channels. There's no exclusivity for some of these shows, you know, here at all. But I don't know. It seems like something like Doctor Who, though, would benefit from having like more unified.
It would definitely.
Rather than people flipping it around, particularly when they know it's a show with 62 years worth of history. And I think that's the people who are still aware of it, are sticking with it and interested in it, are aware now that it isn't a show that started with Matt Smith. It's presently, until recently, it was found across 3 different platforms. So Disney Plus had everything from the 60th anniversary specials onwards. HBO Max had everything from Rose to The Power of the Doctor. But all the classic material, Simon, was still with BritBox in America.
Gosh,
so there was no one home. There was no one home to go to if you wanted to binge watch 40 seasons of it. You couldn't. or for example, if you were a subscriber of one platform, you had to subscribe to another or wait until, so it's a little messy, isn't it? It's unfortunate.
I think it's very, very, very messy. Zach Whitten put a comment up a few minutes ago saying, I just don't understand streaming. I'm the same. The whole streaming thing has just left me behind. It's just too confusing. There's too many platforms out there. The content on there changes too frequently for you to get any idea of what it's on. Okay, so great, it's on HBO Max now. What, for 5 minutes? What will it be on next week? This is the problem. And we've seen this, particularly all the song and dance and the hoo-ha that was made out of, the Whoniverse now on iPlayer, that everything was on iPlayer until it all started to disappear. And so it's difficult to sort of, make this song and dance about something that you just don't know how long it's going to be there. Is it all going to be there, or is bits going to disappear? I think it feels odd to try and make something out of this now. It just really, to me, it's just more a case of just a statement of fact. Doctor Who's on HBO. Okay, right, move on. What else is there? Tell me something that's interesting. It's the way it's put across as in, wow, this is fantastic news. Doctor Who's now on HBO Max. But firstly, the brand is all but dead anyway, so there's no real interest in it anyway. And secondly, because it does move around, it ping-pongs around these streaming platforms like nobody's business. It's just difficult to sort of feel invested or to feel that there's any value. I think that the brand is just so undervalued now, and streaming services have just undervalued content, full stop. Everything, not just Doctor Who, but everything, all content is devalued simply because of the proliferation of these streaming services and the fact that, as I say, content just changes all the time. You don't really, sometimes it's here, sometimes it's there. So you don't really feel, oh my God, I've got to go watch that now, because it just sort of kicks around. If it's not on HBO, it'll be on Disney Plus again next week, whatever. It just feels, I personally am very against streaming platforms. I think they've ruined television, truth be told, and indeed films. I think they've diluted it down.
In many respects, I think they've ruined pop culture.
Yes,
and the viewing experience. I mean, it could well be.
That's what I'm talking about.
But the future still is a streaming model. I don't know, but as it stands at the moment, it all feels very cold, quite convoluted, certainly overcrowded. They're very careful in the language that they use, though, Simon, where they say that something it's got a new global streaming home. It has that words like home have a feeling it belongs with us, and you can come here too because our home is open to you. But the truth of the matter is, it's mega cold and very, very calculating and brutal when the rights to these things close.
Yeah. And also brutal when it comes down to sort of just having to pay for these services. So you're going to take out a subscription of HBO Max or whatever it is. Oh, but it's not on there anymore. So now, BritBox is that you mentioned 5 minutes ago, Dan. That's kind of the classic example of where everybody thought, wow, it's on BritBox, and so I'm going to buy BritBox. Except it's not there anymore. It just died a death, literally fell down the plug hole. So it's just really hard to sort of get excited about this stuff. And yeah, I'm just against streaming platforms. They're a brilliant idea, and they were a brilliant idea when it was just merely catch up on something that you'd missed. And it was maybe there, as I recall, when iPlayer first started, it was there for a week or a month after transmission. Definitely. It was short, wasn't it, Charlotte?
Yeah,
and so then it still had a degree of cachet, of value, because you still had to go and catch it before it went. But now, I'm just so, streaming. I agree, Dan, it's sort of devalued the whole of pop culture, sadly. What can you do?
Where do you get access to New Who, Matt, in your part of the world? Which platform?
Well, I've just checked. It was Prime Video, but now it doesn't have Prime Video. Obviously, this hits us. We've only just recently got HBO Max in the last, last 4 months. So obviously, it took a long time for them to come here. So at the moment, unless you're willing to pay for it, you can still pay for it on Prime and everything. You can actually, to download the series or whatever. but otherwise, there's just nowhere. I mean, I'm just surprised that what an absolute like idiotic thing not to just give it to Disney Plus. That library, because surely that would have opened up the doors for more people to be interested in Doctor Who. They, they would have gone.
It would have been
the
it would have been the logical thing to do, wouldn't it? And the way that the brand has been attached, BBC Studios and Bad Wolf attached to Disney now for 2 or 3 years, mentioning Disney Plus, constantly plastering that logo everywhere. Obviously, things have played out differently than they expected. I suspect that the long-term goal probably was to move it all over to Disney Plus, but I would say you'd be pretty foolish to bet on that happening now. In fact, that would probably be the least place I would expect to find any Doctor Who content in, say, 18 months, 2 years' time, with exception of the 2 seasons that they've directly co-funded.
Well, if they'd have seen, like, because I mean, they started off, Disney Plus started off with the David Tennant specials, and I think that would have, if they'd followed with the library and then the specials, I think Doctor Who would have got another following. But because they started with David Tennant, the specials only, it's sort of like it lost. People were like, a lot of people probably didn't even know who David Tennant was in that, and they could have gone back and watched all his episodes before seeing him back. But I just feel like they've totally just missed it, a chance here, and it must be. It's not like they didn't offer them any money, I mean, they got 100. It was £100 million, or was it $100 million that they got of US currency?
I honestly can't remember. There were so many different rumors of it around at the time.
I mean, obviously they would have offered them more to get that library, and obviously the BBC said no. Or is it the studios that own it now? So,
or is it Matt? I don't know. I'm speculating this question. Is it simply that Disney Plus don't want it anymore? Their fingers have been burnt by Doctor Who, and they just don't want it. I don't know. I haven't got a clue.
I'm talking from the beginning, though, Simon.
Oh,
from the get-go. They should have had this from the get-go.
They're highly unlikely. When we're in a position where they're removing their own material that they have completely made associated to brands that they own lock and stock. So think like they completely took down that Willow TV series. They own Lucasfilm. They made that, and yet that's not on Disney Plus anymore. So clearly they haven't got unlimited resources and bandwidth, if you like, to platform to be the home of literally everything. They're clearly judging on a case-by-case basis. So therefore, with them being out of producing new Doctor Who, they probably think, oh, why would an association with this brand, which we're severing ties with, be in our interests for even a millisecond? I mean, I do feel for people, Sarah, who live in that part of the world, in North America, whose interest may have been piqued, not necessarily from the Shooty Gatwa stuff. In fact, I think that's highly unlikely. But through conversations with friends or family, going to San Diego Comic-Con and seeing somebody in cosplay as a Weeping Angel, for example. Oh, what's that from? Oh, that's from Doctor Who. You need to see that show. Well, where is it? I don't know. It used to be there. Before that, it was there. And now, heaven knows where it will be. I mean, I don't even know where the smart money is on it going now. I'd say it probably will be tied to any kind of production deal. But given Doctor Who and how it's been lately, there's been no rhyme or reason to any of it, Sarah. And I just think it's the people who lose out. The fans, we lose out. But I think the general public lose out as well, lose access to this big show, this big IP.
Yeah, it's not conducive to getting new viewers. I mean, diehard fans have probably already got a copy. They've got the physical media. You fancy watching it, put it on. But yeah, it's the general public, or those that that did watch it back in the day when it was David Tennant, when it was Matt Smith. Maybe they've moved on. Like you were saying, oh, Weeping Angel. I remember that episode. I used to like that. I used to watch that when I was a teenager or whatever.
Because that's how things permeate now. They see them. They have conversations with other people. They might see a meme. They might see a T-shirt on a stranger at a shopping mall or something like that. What's that from? Oh, that's from Doctor Who, or that's from the Blues Brothers, or that's from. If it's something you've never seen, it doesn't really matter when it was made anymore, because most things are streaming somewhere, so you can go and look it up. But in the case of Doctor Who, it's increasingly getting difficult to do that.
I think, and then when you can't find it, and it's such a bother that the moment's gone, and there'll always be something else, because there's that much, content at the moment. And the moment's gone.
But also, I think, Sarah, as well, you're right, with sort of DVD and Blu-ray. I think, honestly, if anybody is interested in Doctor Who now, they will have bought it on physical media, because I just think it's that kind of show that if you like it, you're going to want to watch it on physical media. And because there's so little interest, to the point of view that it's virtually non-existent from the public, I don't think there's many people within the public that are going to go out, get too excited about finding that Jodie Whittaker's suddenly on the home of HBO Max, because I think you'll have the physical media if you want it, and you see the furore that exists around. They announced the season 13 box set a couple of weeks ago, and suddenly the internet just explodes and people are just beyond excited. And yet you put it on HBO Max, and you're right, Dan, nobody even kind of clocks. This has passed me by. I didn't know this was happening, and I just think it's of zero interest. If you're interested in Doctor Who, you're going to want to buy those Blu-ray box sets, for example, or even the steel books of Modern Who. I just think, I feel that a home for a streaming platform for Doctor Who, I just think has got limited appeal for anybody, unless the show is massive as it was, let's say, during the Tennant years. If you'd had a streaming service during the Tennant years, when the show could do no wrong, then it would have had a huge amount of appeal to the public to go and dip into it. But now the public it's beyond. They're not even aware Doctor Who exists anymore, really. I don't think they're going to get fine.
You've got to say, we now had that survey weeks ago now that showed the audience for Doctor Who that even care anymore or have a want to watch it.
Yeah.
There you go.
40, it was this sort of younger audience they've been trying to captivate the last 5 years, or even more than that. It hasn't come. So the older fans are also more likely to have physical media. They're more likely, like you said, to buy the Blu-rays and the steelbooks than to rely on a streaming service. Because it's the diehards that's left. It's the older fan base.
That's right.
Just stuck with this show for God knows how many years. We know that now because of that survey.
Yeah.
We've spoken several times about what could be the best possible fit out of the streaming platforms, the big ones, because you wouldn't want to see it tucked away on Tubi and these are other places, which I know that they have their merits, Gary. And they have the people who use them habitually, who swear by them. In fact, it's perfect for them. But I think that really, to have any kind of profile where it can lay claim to be squaring up to the other big IPs, Doctor Who realistically needs to be on either Netflix, Prime, some sort of international version of HBO Max, or Apple.
Yeah.
I do think I consider Apple to be a far too boutique
I would agree.
Streaming platform, and so that would narrow it down to just the two for me. But we don't seem to be any nearer a point where we know anything about the short-term or long-term future of Doctor Who, do we? I mean, where do you think that the conversation, it's still being had out there, or now people have simply moved on, Gary? I mean, what's your instinct?
Well, here's the thing. I think that people, and please correct me if your experience is different. I think people follow shows, not streamers. Some people actually will just sit and turn on Netflix and scroll through whatever Netflix has just because they couldn't be bothered. But a lot of people either hear through their friends or through something that comes up on their Facebook or whatever about a new show, and it's the show that interests them. And if it's on Apple, they'll follow it to Apple, or if it's on Prime, they'll follow it on Prime. But I know that one of the metrics that Disney was measuring, or that somebody mentioned that they were measuring, is it's not about how many people watch the actual show, in this case Doctor Who. It's like how many actually stay and sample all the other things that the network is offering, as opposed to coming for who and then unsubscribing when it's over. That's who they want.
So the idea would be that they don't want to give you any reason to switch off, really.
Yeah, it's like they would see Who and maybe any other show as like an entryway to get dedicated subscribers. You know, whether whoever has like the Taylor Sheridan stuff, they use that as a way to promote a lot of their other shows that they think those viewers would like. And so the shows are really more kind of entryways into long-term subscribers, rather than that the network feels they want to meet the niche need of viewers of one particular show.
My sympathy does lie with the viewers. I think this is all a little bit undignified, really, to see Doctor Who kind of prostituted around the way that it is as content, cold, calculated content, up if not for the highest bidder, then to the at the place where it can be form part of a chain which can serve them best. It's very undignified. But yeah, if you have been watching it on HBO Max all this time and you're, say, halfway through the Matt Smith era, what are you going to do? In my opinion, Simon is absolutely right. Stick with physical media every time. The HBO deal ends August the 1st, 2025. When the story continues, wherever Doctor Who, New Who ends up, we'll be all over it. This story hasn't ended yet. I can't believe that they're going to let the dust lie on any of this for too long. Let's go and see if we've got any HBO customers in the live chat.
The walls of time are breaking down. You need to listen. The only way to save the universe. Watch Type 40.
Thank you for joining us there on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X, including Vanessa Law here in the live chat, a long-time moderator, the long-suffering Vanessa Law. As she says, it's so annoying that they keep bouncing around. Not everyone can afford every streamer. I think at one point people could perhaps afford to have 3 or 4. Now, if you can afford 2, you'd be very lucky, as the prices have gradually gone up and up and up. They certainly have. They certainly have in the UK, haven't they, Sarah? You know, Netflix used to be about £6. Now it's 10, 11 quid.
Oh yes, and obviously, and they stopped doing the password sharing and all the,
yes.
the account thing. That's really damaged them.
Richard Brooks is also a physical media aficionado, Sarah. So a clear off the shelf space seems to be the answer.
It really is, and not just Doctor Who. I mean, everything. I mean, I was looking at this like phases, especially it's like Halloween. Usually, you can watch horror films on. I want to say Prime because that's what I've got at the moment. Any horror film, it's part of Prime. As soon as you get to Halloween season, I fancied watching Shaun of the Dead. Put it on. Suddenly, no, you've got to pay for it. Like, I'm not paying
Right.
Shaun of the Dead when I'm already paying my Prime every month. So I ended up, buying the DVD, which
You
was
might as well.
Yep.
and renting it from Amazon. And lots of little things like when something's popular, like James Bond, all of a sudden, it might have been free. All of a sudden,
Yeah.
we're back to, you've got to rent it for $3.99. And it's really annoying. And then you're not in the mood to watch it then. And then
The
obviously you've
moment's
got YouTube as well. I mean, YouTube's been doing that live feed of Doctor Who. So yeah, why would you pay a streamer when you can go and watch bits and pieces on YouTube?
I've noticed that there are several shows, just like Domgo says in the live chat. Hi, Domgo. Thanks for joining us. Domgo says, I think the US office is on every single streamer now.
Yes.
And there are several channels, several shows where I do see them pop up here and there. And I think, am I imagining things? But I suppose the mega popular shows, such as the Office and American Workplace, it just goes to show that some shows just have an enormous profile and they're worth paying through the nose for. I don't know. Doctor Who just doesn't seem to be in that league anymore. It's a pity. It's a great pity. Robert Payne's in the live chat. He says it's not great if streamers choose not to keep Doctor Who unless someone else has tendered more for it. I think obviously we won't know that for a little while a little while yet. We've got some speculation too about HBO Max in the States. They're going to have the new Harry Potter TV show, so they
There you
won't be
go.
too bothered about New Who.
Yep.
Yeah, they've only just started to film that, though, haven't they? It's not going to be it's not going to be finished and streamable for at least a year, I would say, Gary.
It's,
And if
it's
anything,
June. It's June next year. I'm pretty
well,
sure.
I'd have thought that if anything, Doctor Who would have actually made a very good stablemate for something like Harry Potter. Yeah, there's a crossover of interest, I believe.
Yeah, if they would have had, well, what did HBO Max have? What, the New Who the back catalog, or a classic?
That's right. New Who.
The New Who. Yeah, it's all, you know what? It's all in how you package it and promote it. I mean, some of the retro stations I have, like Me TV or whatever, which shows mostly like old 60s and 70s things. And the way they repackage clips to make it seem like you just have to sit down and watch it because it's like the hottest new thing and they're 50-year-old shows is really quite a marketing feat. And somebody needs to do like that for Doctor Who, where you can take the material that people may have seen dozens of times, but repackage and promote it like it's brand new.
Richard Brooks advises that streamers cut away and remove things. They edit. Obviously, they edit some of these shows after the fact. They censor them too.
Disney does.
It's a different conversation, I know, Matt. But it's at least I know they're not going to get at my DVDs or Blu-rays. They're there. They're not going to break into my home and delete portions of my favorite movies, like Crocodile Dundee, for example.
Oh, Matt knows all about the Crocodile Dundee saga.
Yeah, don't get me started on that. Go check out my channel.
Yeah, loads and loads of physical media enthusiasts, of course, here in the live chat. I think, generally speaking, most Doctor Who fans, particularly anybody sort of above the age of 35, is always going to go for the physical media.
I just think it's a bit odd when it comes down to people actually, if anyone ever bothers to binge this stuff, and they're going to get to the end of the Whittaker era, and they're going to see Tennant, and then they're going to go, well, yeah, eventually, if they can get through the Whittaker era, they're going to see Tennant, and they're going to go, well, where's the rest? And then they'll have to... Yeah, and then because obviously they've all missed the Doctor Who on Disney Plus, so they'll go. It'll just end on that cliffhanger, and that'll be it. So it needs to be all together.
That's why at the beginning of the 60th specials, they had to do a recap of Series 4 because Disney people obviously hadn't had access to that series. That's
weird.
Why we had Tennant stood telling us what had happened on like a couple of years ago, and it was such a blatant thing of like, if you haven't got the material.
I loved how old school that was. Darren is in the live chat. He agrees with Simon. The whole streaming thing leaves him cold and detached. Content being chopped and changed. Stupid warnings. It's not for me. Some people don't mind any of that stuff, do they, Charlotte? But that's the thing. I mean, the customer is always right, aren't they? And whatever we want to watch, it's at our convenience in the form that suits our pocket and our devices.
Well, that's the thing. The customer dictates what's successful. And if something's hot and people are watching it and people have got, like we said, it's a big program, then that's what makes people buy subscriptions or spend more money on a service. And it will be interesting though, and I do think it will be a sign. Like we said, we don't know officially what's going to happen now with these episodes, but it would be interesting to see who gets it and how quickly it gets picked up, because I think that's a sign of what Simon's been talking about for a while, the damage of the brand. If the brand is damaged, who's going to logically want to pay money to have these episodes, you could argue? I think that will be a telling thing in the future.
Yeah, I think you're right.
The plates are shifting internationally. We have one studio buying up other studios, Skydance and Paramount being the most high-profile example. That hasn't really stopped over the last 6 or 7 years. When Disney acquired 20th Century Fox, things haven't stopped shifting, and one giant eating another, and the streaming stuff going along the side of it. It's confused matters for me, because obviously throughout my childhood, up until about 7 years ago, things had largely stayed the same, and the same logos played before all the films. And TV was still certainly my first stop to watch something. Now I don't even have a TV license. It's that irrelevant to me. And so the chances of me keeping track of where most shows are on any streaming platform, it's more effort than I'm willing to put in. I'd rather pre-order a Blu-ray set or something like that. But I accept that it works for a great many people. And there are, when I speak to younger people and kids in particular, the idea of stuff not being available to stream just blows their mind. And you show them a DVD, and it's like, well, why? I've got to do that. I've got to take it out of a box, put it in a machine, and press buttons. I haven't got time for that.
I think it is a generational thing. I think you're absolutely correct. I do think it's a generational thing, and so you wonder, are we all here tonight, sort of sounding like dinosaurs now? And truth be told, we probably are. And this is going to be in the past soon. And the younger generation simply, you're right, Dan, won't want to be bothered with DVDs. But I find that really, really sad, because I think, truth be told, if you are invested in and love sufficiently a film, TV show, whatever it might be, and you want to buy the Blu-ray, the DVD, whatever it is, that to me is a higher level of appreciation than streaming, which is much more peripheral, much more temporary, much more transient. And I think that's very, very sad, because I think that the younger generation will miss out on that degree of passion that we have for certain things, and that's why we go and buy the physical media of it. Whereas this is what I'm talking about earlier, it's kind of devalued some of that stuff, that it's far more passive now. And we know that, we've talked about it. The younger generation will sit there looking at what's on their phone at the same time as watching. So in fact, even if they're watching it on telly, they'll probably just have it on a tiny little screen at the bottom of their phone while they're scrolling through social media. And it's a very different way to consume things. And I think it's a great shame that the younger generation are not going to get that sort of passion for things that we feel, the older generation feels, I think.
Of making space in one's home.
Yeah.
Almost like putting together an altar, which we worship these shows, and in a sense we can sort of capture and set in sort of amber our own childhoods when it comes to shows like Doctor Who and box sets of other shows that sell quite well. There's a big market for stuff like Grange Hill. Things that they're happy to sort of, in a sense, put them behind them as long as they're still within arm's reach.
Correct.
I think that's the beauty of physical media. It's part of my home. It shows it's something that matters to me, just like books that we may have read or intend on reading. They kind of form sort of fabric of our lives, really. I think the intent to read or to watch is just as important as the accomplishment of having already done so, but that's probably a conversation for another time. We've got some great comments in the live chat there on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X. Keep them coming, everybody. Far too many of you over on X. A lot of people watch us on X. Most of them are very, very, very shy. Too shy to comment. What are you waiting for? Get stuck in. Just like they have. Come and have your say too. There's lots more to cover as Type 40 Live continues. Okay, where next? And who next? How about this?
I still giggle.
Yes, the Queen has returned, as you can see. But Doctor Who still hasn't. It could be some time off. When they plaster it across the screen in big letters like this, as I say, it seems more like a threat than a promise at this point. But this week we did have a startling Doctor Who announcement. One I don't think any of us expected for a number of reasons. It's the announcement of a multimedia tie-in event for 2026, following just weeks after the conclusion of that latest season, which didn't go that well. We've all been wondering what this meant for the brand. I don't think any of us expected this. So once again, it's going to span audio drama, comics, gaming, and books, all publishing brand new adventures that are going to slot into an so what do they call them? Sort of like an overarching narrative. They sort of all locks together, so you can sort of follow it in incomplete sort of chronological order you can dart
Oh
around.
no, this sounds like Time Lord Victorious again, Dan.
It's exactly
is.
like Time Lord Victorious. It's called Circuit Breaker. And as if that doesn't sound bad enough, it's led by the fugitive incarnation of the Doctor,
Oh.
once again played by the delightful Joe Martin, all overseen by somebody they're listing as a best-selling author. That's Esme Jakimi Pearson. Now, she wrote the novel of The Church on Ruby Road, and to be fair to her, is a novelist in her own right. This really took the fandom by surprise, not least of all because they've done this before. They've done this before, and it hasn't exactly played out well. So in 2021, they launched something called Time Lord Victorious and followed it up a couple of years later with another event for the 60th anniversary, inexplicably called Doomsday. I think the fandom is still cracking jokes about both of these events. So to think that they've come back to the format, what they call transmedia events, to think that they're going at this for a third time just blows my mind. There, you're quite a reader. In fact, you are too, Charlotte. Both of you do buy and read Doctor Who books. You should be the target audience for this. It says interactive stories with the audience coming in at all angles. It's personal. Your experience is personal to you, and storytelling is at the heart of it. And yet, this seems like the definition of absolute insanity to me. What's the quote? To do the same thing over and over again and expect different results. And this is bonkers that they're doing this again.
Yeah, when I heard about it, I just had my head in my hands.
Me and you had fun when we chatted about this, didn't we?
We should have recorded that. It just absolutely beggars belief that they're trying to do it again. And the only thing I can think of is that the Joe Martin fugitive Doctor figure seems to have sold really well. So maybe they're thinking, apparently
That's what we're basing it on.
I think it is, Simon. I really do. There seems to be this niche audience, and they've said, "Well, she's sold really well. She's doing conventions. Let's just do an entire." Honestly,
God, you couldn't make this stuff up.
I'm really trying to put a logical. That's the best I've got. If anybody's got anything else.
Can I just ask? Has this news only broken this week?
The last few days.
Was it last week?
Okay, so my question is, why have I heard? This is the first time I've ever heard about Circuit Breaker. Genuinely, I've heard nothing about this until you just announced it a couple of minutes ago. So clearly, the word isn't getting out there because I'm not. Maybe I'm the only one on the panel that hasn't heard of this. But that's definitely 1/6 the Doctor Who fans are clueless about this. So what I'm saying is, they do this stuff, but is anybody remotely interested? Is anybody paying attention to this?
I'm interested in what they do with the brand because from a marketing point of view, and as somebody who does enjoy the expanded media, but the premise of this wouldn't interest me, Charlotte, even if I hadn't been witness to the disastrous two events that they tried before.
Well, I read the press thing they released, and one thing made me laugh out loud when they were like, in this groundbreaking experience. I was like, you've done it twice. I don't know, maybe I've misheard what groundbreaking means, but usually it means first time. And then I read the premise, like you said, and it's just, there's something going wrong with the unit stuff.
Nonsense.
And she's been recruited
There's always
by
something going wrong with this unit.
It doesn't work at all.
Yeah, I've got the blurb here, and it says strange alien artifacts are appearing inside Unit's black archive. Each object is linked to a different regeneration of the Doctor. See, this sounds convoluted already, but they've been tampered with, A corrupted energy signature of unknown origin pulses through them, and their sudden arrival has torn tiny ruptures across space and time. This all sounds so familiar. UNIT is out of options. You're not kidding me. To repair the damage and restore the timeline, the objects must be returned to the exact moments in time they were taken from. If not, the Doctor's adventures and the universe itself could unravel. To solve this mystery, UNIT calls upon a little-known incarnation of the Time Lord, the fugitive Doctor. But how does UNIT know about her? And is she the Doctor they expect?
Does anybody care?
Well,
Okay,
it
here's-
sounds like they've got an inbuilt reason to use other Doctors, which also I find funny. It's like, oh, she's the centre point, but we're going to have other Doctors as well. It's sort of my sort of like logical reason, if I tried to think of one, is I think because she's such a blank slate incarnation. Like all the other incarnations have dates you have to sort of keep to, have events you can't change in their Doctor's history. Whereas Fugitive, we know nothing about her past. They've made that on purpose, this whole part of her character.
Yeah, that's it, Matt. We don't care.
Well, no, but
We
that's what I
don't
mean.
care about her past. She's just an insert doctor for
Well,
DEI.
yeah,
that was all.
But I'm saying because she's such a blank slate, any writer can basically do what
Yeah.
on earth.
Yeah,
they
yeah,
want
you're
with
right.
her.
Yeah.
Well, at least if it's an audio drama, she doesn't have to run.
Oh.
Because I'm sorry, but like she's about as well, she's not exactly fit as a fiddle, is she?
No,
And
she's about as
to
agile
me-
as a refrigerator.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just it's been admitted the reason why she was put in it, which we all knew anyway. But for it to come from the horse's mouth, it's just more of the same.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think this is mistitled. I think they should have called it Short Circuit, which is probably, a better title for what's going to happen with this. But overall, my question is, who wants this? Who is the audience they're chasing with this? It's like, I think Charlotte said, it's a niche of a niche of a niche of a niche. Whoever likes Joe Martin, and it's like they've totally given up, producing something for the masses. It's like, let's find the fraction of the fraction of the fraction audience that we can push this on. But for the premise itself, okay, so UNIT somehow calls upon this doctor, which no other doctors know about, but magically UNIT does. And so however they use to call this doctor with a device or some kind of thing, why don't they just go down the street to Donna's backyard and get the doctor who is mowing the lawn down there and get him to help? Why do they have to go to all the trouble of contacting this mysterious doctor, which is, again, points out the logic hole that creating this bi-generation created? It's like, why not just get the 14th Doctor, David Tennant, to solve your problem?
Do you know what, Gary, though? Something strikes me with this. If this had been launched, if Circuit Breaker had been launched with, let's say, Paul McGann, would we be taking a very different approach? Probably yes, because actually we care about Paul McGann. We want to see more of his Doctor. Does anybody out there want to see more of the Joe Martin Doctor? Probably not. And so this is what frustrates me with all this, Or if, for example, they were going to bring back, let's say, Peace Davison as the 5th Doctor, would I be watching it? You bet I would go and watch it. So I'm just kind of thinking, if you're going to do this stuff, at least do it that somebody wants to watch. Give it to Paul McGann.
It's easy to forget that when they announced this initial Time Lord Victorious project nearly 5 years ago now, we were initially kind of, certainly, I wouldn't go so far as to say we were captivated by it.
We were intrigued.
We were intrigued is the word, because although other brands have done versions of this, Doctor Who had never attempted anything like this before, and the involvement not just of David Tennant, who, let's be honest, has done, but just seems to turn up
enough,
everything, but David Tennant and Paul McGann would seem to indicate that they had all the elements there to guarantee success. but they
Yeah.
hadn't thought through. They bit off far too much, far more than they could chew.
Yeah.
And the delivery of it, they got James Goss running that, and James Goss is a good writer, but they completely garbled the rollout of it. So you'd got parts of it which were taking place before others, coming out in a totally different order. The finale to the entire thing came out in the October, and they were still putting other component parts out to it 3 or 4 months later across different mediums. They could not coordinate it. They simply couldn't pull it off. And again, at the time, I thought, well, okay, I'd rather this brand have ambition than continue to play it safe. So I was prepared to think, oh, well, it was a fun experiment. They cocked it up. It happens. But when they did it again a couple of years later, and practically the same thing happened, but of course it was geared around another character, a purpose created character, which they cast with a stand-up, a comedian, supposedly.
Oh,
God awful Suze Kemp.
The
but
deadliest assassin in the
But again, this character was also positioned in such a way as she had to go and warn all the other doctors, and there was, so it was largely exactly the same. I mean, when Sarah said that about the Fugitive Doctor, she's not wrong. There is a small proportion of the fandom who likes that character for whatever reason. I think some of it is ideological, and some of it is maybe they were at a particular point in their life when they saw whatever the episode was, Fugitive of the Jadoon, wasn't it? So I'm prepared to accept that, but there's such a tiny minority, and a project like this, whilst Doctor Who is off the screen, the idea is that it can satisfy an appetite until the series itself returns. So to keep you invested in the brand, to keep you buying the books, listening to audios, it's not rocket science why they're doing it. It makes perfect sense. But scattering it so widely means to me they have no more confidence in Martin than they have in any other aspect of it. I actually think that I would have respected it a little more. I'm not saying I would have bought any of it, but I would have respected it a little more if they'd have conceived of, say, a 12-part story simply starring the Fugitive Doctor, no other doctors, crafted it around her. If she's so great, like certain people are insisting, then she should be more than capable of taking the weight of a full multi-part story across different media, and just expanded the character, filled in some of those blanks, and really brought it to life. But they're not doing that. They're dotting bits throughout, probably stories like The Brain of Morbius, and she's got to sort of go back Forrest Gump style into those stories and modge about with stuff, because without that kind of second-hand endorsement, then it's never going to feel like Doctor Who, because they haven't put the time in to build the character. Joe Martin seems to have the best intentions, and I'm tired of saying this, coming out with this disclaimer about Joe Martin. About she seems like a nice person, blah blah blah. None of that matters. The woman who delivers my post is a nice woman. She make a shite Doctor Who. It's that. So I'm tired of going over that point all the time.
No, I think that there is this constant push from the BBC to try and legitimize this Doctor. And it's not working. So they've got to keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing. Oh, yeah, sure, you can do Doctor Who if you want to, but you've got to have this Doctor.
Yeah.
It's a marketing ploy from the BBC to try and say, hey, look, we've always been inclusive. And
transparent.
People are just, unless you got dropped when you were a baby, you don't want this Doctor. Every other Doctor.
I find it hard to believe, Matt, that Joe Martin hasn't seen through this. You've seen through this very clearly. Most of the people in our live chat have as well. Certainly all of us on the panel have. What I find a little hard to believe, because, she doesn't strike me as, she seems perfectly intelligent woman. I'm surprised that Joe Martin hasn't realised that she's kind of
I think she has, Dan. I think she's just milking it.
She says here, I'm thrilled to tell more stories about the Fugitive Doctor, and cannot wait for the fans to unlock all the twists and turns across the circuit breaker story. This character has always meant so much to me, and it's a joy to continue building her legacy and dive back into the Whoniverse. I mean, I very much doubt that she wrote that. I very much doubt that Joe Martin.
This is what I was trying to get at. The fact of the matter is, and as Charlotte has pointed out, she is clean slate. We don't know where she's from. All the other doctors, even the not the fugitive doctor, the
War
War
Doctor?
the old
Doctor.
man.
War Doctor?
Yeah,
War
yeah, the
Doctor,
war
John Hurt.
doctor. Even he, we saw when he regenerated from McGann to the war doctor, and then he's regenerated back into Eccleston. She has none of that. There is no link, so people don't give a shit.
Yeah. She's
I'm
not.
sorry,
She's
it's
not
just the
been
way-
on screen long enough for us to have a
Yeah.
connection with.
Well, the bits that they have had, she's been on multiple times. I mean, you know,
But
you can
not
see
of
where they've
anything of
pushed her in.
worth. That's the point.
Yeah,
Like,
nothing
she's
about a
inserted-
character, is it? It's just she comes in and says some vague
Mysterious.
gobbledygook and
Yeah.
Yeah.
disappears
Yeah,
again.
but
Well,
it's
truth-
happened like
well, truth be
numerous
told,
times.
that-
She's just inserted in literally.
Yeah,
into
that's
the
it,
episode.
Mads. They just sort of seem to roll her out every so often. No particularly good reason, just
Yeah.
as though anybody gives a about her actually being in it. They just assume that we're going to go, oh yeah, great, the fugitive doctor's back in it. Who's
I
doing
mean,
that? Nobody at all.
my guess is that it probably takes a while to, develop and prep a multimedia series like this. So I'm going to guess this probably concepted probably around 2023, probably for like a couple years
Maybe.
ago. So when they probably thought that now, the world would look a lot different and everybody would be a lot more, accepting
In love with
of
Doctor Who.
something like this. RTD was coming back and we'd be deep in
Could be.
the great 15th Doctor, and this would just be what people would welcome with open arms, and they probably had no way of knowing that people would be so dismissive of something like this now 2 years
Here
later.
is the chart. This is what people had to follow if they were looking to invest in Time Lord Victorious. This is what you had to do. Books, audio, comics, gaming, and books across all manner of ranges as well. So it included the Doctor Who annual, it included graphic novels, it included Big Finish stuff, it included stuff that only came out on vinyl. So this was not only was it incredibly expensive, but it's time consuming to work out what was what. And this does seem to be a simpler affair, but I still can't help but notice that it's largely the same format, the same thinking behind it. And I do wonder, although I've not read any of this writer's work, they've chosen this woman to lead the project. And yeah, she has sold a couple of her own books. They are bestsellers in inverted commas. I don't know how many books you have to sell to have a bestseller now, but I am suspicious as to why she latched onto the Fugitive Doctor as well. Is this also ideological? Because one look at Esme's social media, this woman is very clear that she's kind of an activist first and a novelist, a writer second. And this is yet again exactly the wrong kind of person that needs to be anywhere near a family-orientated brand, particularly when you're looking at something which could, in theory, keep it running whilst the actual TV show is off air. Somebody who hasn't got its best interests at heart. And I'm sure she must be. I'm sure she's a decent writer. People must like her stuff, but that doesn't mean that she's right for Doctor Who. And I just can't believe the insanity of doing this, of trying this again, Simon.
I just despair, Dan. People like dear old Bob Holmes, Terence Dix, Malcolm Holt, they're going to be turning in their graves with what has become of Doctor Who. Why can we not just bring in really top flight writers like we used to have? They are out there. They must be out there. Please, I pray they're out there, because if not, I just despair of if we're ever going to get any quality Doctor Who ever again. I just can't understand why we can't just go to some really first-class writers once and for all, that are good writers to begin with. That we know they're out there. I just despair, Dan. I give in.
Well, they've got on the range I like, which is when they have the classic tales mixed with Doctor Who. Those are the books I get. You've got Paul Maggs.
There you go.
Some
Good writer.
Some of those books I read. That's the one I've read recently when it was Doctor Who with Alice in Wonderland. So he wrote that one, and it's like, I know what you mean. It's like, surely you'd think for such a big project,
Yeah.
You'd want somebody with just a bit more of a CV when it comes
Yeah.
to writing. And I think that's what it comes down to here. We want people that have got that experience. Because, like you said, these things only ever work if, even though you've got all these different parts, your basic through line is easy enough to follow. Your basic story can sort of be your centre point with all these branching stuff coming off. And if that suffers, and if that's not interesting or gets your attention or can be followed easily, everything else will suffer.
Yeah.
So you need that experience, whoever's the sort of the headliner for this. But it is funny how I'm that you talked about McGann, and I think Martin, and I'm talking about how the treatment of the character here, I'm not comparing likeness of incarnation, but for me, she's becoming the modern McGann, as in it's this incarnation which they don't put the time on screen for. They don't want to develop on the main show. They don't want to build up that. No, they'll have all this backstory. They'll have all these adventures like she was talking about, Joe. But it's all extensive media. Like McGann, technically he's only got the movie, the television movie. And for a good chunk of fans who don't listen to audio, who don't read the books, who don't read comics, that will be the only thing he's done in Doctor Who. But if you watch, if you listen, you've got a bank of stories, but you have to care enough and you have to be interested enough to find them for him. I think Joe's becoming that again, honestly, which is sad, because I think they shouldn't have done that with McGann in the first place.
I never looked at it that way, but I can't deny that it does seem to be a similar setup. And if this is going to continue, if this is going to persist, we could find ourselves in a position where Joe Martin is associated with this character, playing this character across all this media for literally decades, having never even led a single episode.
She's even more on the back foot, and I do actually feel a little bit sorry for the actress, because
I feel she's been tokenized. I think
McGann was legitimate. We saw Sylvester McCoy regenerate into Paul McGann on screen. That is canon. Well, you think the audios are canon, whatever. Jo Martin's never even had that moment. We still don't know where she fits in. She's like this nebulous entity, and
it's exhausting.
It is exhausting, and I'm past caring.
Also, I just want to comment from a marketing perspective. This ad, something like this, you want the fans to be excited about, because you're going to ask them to spit out a crap ton of money for all these components. Her character looks so apathetic and just exhausted in this picture. I mean, she's leaning against the frame. She has just a look of apathy on her character. Why would I, as an audience member, get excited about, like, from this picture when the main character just looks so blasé?
Yeah, really good point,
It looks like
Gary.
she's out of puff. She's only walked a couple of steps, and she's out of puff.
So Gary's right. She looks bored. She just looks absolutely bored, brainless.
I mean, obviously, there could be a reason for this, for the fact, but what's the reason why she behaves nothing like the Doctor and carries a gun and talks like Big Mo from EastEnders? Well, there must be reasons for all of this stuff. They should piss or get off the pot with this. I think it's doing Jo Martin a serious disservice. If they really believe in the character, BBC Studios, make a TV movie, direct to streaming or to physical media, focused on this character, not being propped up by any other incarnation, no guest actors. Conceive of a story that is particular to this incarnation. If it's so great, if it's so inspiring, it shouldn't be that hard. If they can deliver that, then I'd maybe sing a different tune. As regards to transmedia events, I cannot see how they can expect this to work any better than the previous one, particularly when this is being run by a largely very inexperienced writer. I don't wish to be ageist, but if James Goss couldn't pull this off, how could Esme Pearson manage to do this? I think this is another disaster waiting to happen. I can see even fewer people buying into this in any quota whatsoever. Nevertheless, Doctor Who Circuit Breaker, starring Jo Martin as the fugitive Doctor, begins its rollout sometime in 2026. We have to wait with bated breath until we can hear a little bit more.
Hello, I'm Philip Roy playing the Doctor in the Doctor Who fan film Doctor Who Meets the Scorpion. I've been on quite an adventure, and this is most definitely the Type 40 podcast.
Well, that isn't, but this is the Type 40 podcast, available across all major podcatchers, Spotify, Audible, all of those places. Anywhere you get your podcasts, you can get Type 40, including our home feed at type40.podbean.com. Latest episode was our feature-length review of the classic Doctor Who story, The Time Meddler. Myself, Sarah, Simon, and Charlotte, we were all on deck for that one, weren't we? And it was exhaustive, but it was a laugh, wasn't it?
It was great fun.
We all enjoyed
I
that
loved
one.
it, yeah.
So much fun, and more on the way too. But this is Type 40 live on Rumble X, YouTube, and Facebook, where I think we've punished ourselves enough, haven't we? I like to think that we can focus now a little bit more on the stuff that did work, that does work, that brings back happier memories. Is it happier? Are they getting more melancholy now? I don't know. We've had several comments there in the live chat. I don't think people are going to buy into this circuit breaker event, and there's no way it's going to reach the normies out there, or even the Doctor Who curious. I think that it's not evident as to who is there leading it. Unless you've seen Jo Martin, who I think the sum total of her appearances in Doctor Who must run to about 11 minutes at the most. So unless you caught any of that, those little blips here and there, then nothing about it says Doctor
You don't care. Just don't
Obviously,
care.
we haven't seen any cover artwork for any of this yet. Maybe we'll have more of an idea when the time comes, but I can't see any of us being particularly seduced by this, Matt.
Will the comics have her actually running?
Titan put out an origin of Doctor Who comic with the Fugitive Doctor, and it was awful. Absolute.
Yeah, they did. That was free Comics Day, wasn't it?
Yeah, Titan did
you
it.
got it for free.
It was.
I mean, the thing is with the Fugitive Doctor, it's one of those things. It was a gimmick that it arguably didn't work for me, but arguably it worked for that one story. That was why the character was there, to set something up. To it was a gimmick. But it was a one-trick pony. The problem with that character, it was there for one purpose only. And once it served that purpose, the character is just redundant. And it still feels redundant. That's why when every time it pops up, the character just pops up in a random story for no particularly good reason. It just feels completely gratuitous and nonsensical and pointless. That's the problem. Because it was only meant to be. It was a gimmick. It was a plot device. The character was a plot device. It wasn't a character. And that's why it's nonsensical to try and drag anything more out of the character. Sorry,
genuine question I've got for any of you guys watching out there, whether you're on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, or X, whichever franchise that you're into, brand that you are all paid up with, and things that you follow as closely, if not more closely than Doctor Who. Are you aware of any of these transmedia events, multimedia experiences, and expansions of any brand that have ever actually worked? And which model did they use? I'd be fascinated to learn. Apparently Star Wars did have some success with something similar to this, but I think that was some time ago now, long before Lucasfilm was acquired by Disney Plus. So I haven't read of any great successes with anything like this. So I'd be fascinated to be corrected about any of that, and about anything nutritional as well. We've got some advice here from Dalek de Bando, who advises that gravy is not an energy drink. Fresh. This is why
I disagree, Dalek. Custard's an energy drink.
Yes.
It's absolutely the best live chat. But yeah, it is time now to put the 21st century on standby, to wiggle your aerial and twiddle your dials. That way we can tune. That way we can.
I don't want
it's all in your imagination. That way we can tune in genuine gold from times past, where Doctor Who legends paid all the bills by selling us everything from Fairy Liquid to Ford. It can only be the Type 40 Live Doctor Who ad break. Here it is. Enjoy.
Doctor Who is back in one of the hottest computer games of the year. It's super arcade adventure all the way as you battle your way through 5 huge levels. Mutilate mutants, menace monsters, and exterminate those evil Daleks before they exterminate you. Dalek Attack, the meanest game this side of Skaro.
Introducing new recipe Pedigree Chum Complete. Supreme nourishment in a dry dog food to keep your dog in the peak of condition. And now it's even meatier and comes in original beef and tripe and lamb and vegetables. Supreme nourishment with a great meaty taste. Pedigree Chum Complete.
Regenerate with Doctor Who Monster Invasion. Magazine, amazing new trading cards and brilliant gaming website taking you into a whole new dimension. The magazine is packed with facts, challenges and awesome alien slamdowns, plus a guide to your amazing collector cards. Look out for super rare 3D cards that come to life on your computer.
Wow.
Play them, control them. Doctor Who Monster Invasion. Part 1 with 2 card packs and extra booster packs at newsagents now.
From outer space, the famous TARDIS brings Time Lord, Doctor Who, and the amazing Leela, ready to do battle against their mighty enemies, the fearful Cyberman, the giant robot, and one of the deadly Daleks. Whilst Leela covers him, the Doctor reaches the TARDIS in time and disappears to escape from the Dalek. Doctor Who, Leela, the fearful inhabitants of outer space, and the TARDIS. From Dennis Fisher. Fantastic.
Welcome back to Type 40 Live on Rumble, X, YouTube, and on Facebook too. We've covered a lot of ground already, lots of opinions, plenty of comments. Thank you for everything that we've had so far. There's lots more to get stuck into as well. I mean, anything could happen, couldn't it? Couldn't it? We're back with the panel. We're back with the panel as ever. So who's back or better? Let's find out. We've got Charlotte Shields here. Got Gary Akers too, starry-eyed girl, Sarah Graham. She'll be back from the ladies in a second. Simon, Howard Jones Horton, and Mr. Matt Potter, our real-life time traveller as well. All hands absolutely on deck.
I've got to say, I can never unhear Peter Davison saying, "And now it's even meatier." Just some things you are never going to be able to unhear, and that's one of them.
Excellent stuff. Fantastic sterling work from Peter Davison in the mid-90s. That was about 1996 time. I never remembered that one. A Problem Being has joined us in the live chat. Again, long-standing moderator and the man behind the best theme tune in the whole of Doctor Who podcasting. Of course,
yeah, agreed.
Theme tune. And Lee says, I picked up a boxed, nearly mint Dennis Fisher Doctor in a shop the other day for, is that 111 quid?
Yep.
Wow, that's
wow.
Wow.
Yeah. If it's nearly mint and it's in a box, that's fantastic. We need photos. Problem being,
never even seen
need photos.
Classic, says Lord Thoth.
And I would sit and play that the first Dalek Attack game, the first ad that you ran. I would sit and play that all day instead of this circuit breaker gaming thing.
Oh, look. Yeah, Doctor Who games haven't really had a good run.
Doctor Who Windbreaker. We could all chip in there, Matt. I think. Funky is in the live chat and says that he still has his copy of Dalek Attack, but no Atari ST520 to play it on. You can just look at it, dust it, and again.
That would have had good graphics too.
Yeah.
But I don't think I ever saw that either.
I'm really actually surprised. I've never been a gamer, but I would be surprised. I'm surprised that, just like they have like vinyl coming back for the specialty collectors, if they wouldn't make some kind of new versions of those things for all the people with the cassette still to play them on. That would probably be
a right
why don't do that?
I remember seeing the Dalek Attack game in shops, and the artwork was beautiful. Do you remember the artwork for it? It was a fantastic piece of artwork on the front of the box. box for Dalek Attack.
Was Colin Howard responsible?
You know, I think it might actually, Dan. I think you could be right. I think it could be Colin Howard did it. Superb artwork. Whoever did it, brilliant.
These are all the facts that escape even the most learned of Doctor Who minds.
We need somebody in the chat will know, Dan. Somebody tell us who did the artwork for Dalek Attack.
Well, if they don't, I bet the truth can be found within a book. And if you think that people, Simon, are pleased to see you, and they absolutely are.
They're not pleased to see me. They're pleased to see the diary.
I think they could be even more pleased to have the Type 40 Live Doctor Who diary back. People genuinely love this segment, this feature, and we've been doing it for several years now. And
Too many.
As the years sort of go by and the different sort of cycles of the weeks continue, there's always fresh gold to
we haven't run out yet.
We've enjoyed it all of these years. We've missed you not doing it. I mean, do you miss not doing it when on the weeks?
Of course I do. Of course I do. I'd like to say I sort of secretly do it, even though we never use it, but I don't. But I'm tempted to. I am tempted to just look down and see what we've missed over the past week. So I apologise, and we've missed some cracking stuff over the past weeks. It's all my fault. I apologise.
Well, wait no longer, everybody. Everything comes in time and space. I'm happy to say it's time for the return of Simon Horton. Well, he's been back for an hour. And the Doctor Who diary and this.
Indeed. Yeah, welcome back. Gosh, I can't believe I'm saying this. Welcome back to the Doctor Who diary. Isn't it fantastic? I want to start actually this evening, before we get into the diary, I do actually want to start with a shout out, because while I've been away, I have been busy reading. I've managed to acquire, I've got my hands on copies of 2 new books. Evolution of the Toy Dalek by the friend of the show, Alex Storer, and also by Alex Storer and another friend of the show, John Collier, the Blackpool Remember book. And seriously, these are, if you haven't got these books yet, I mean, look, as I'm just flicking through it, just the photos in, and there's fantastic diagrams of the floor plans from Blackpool, and the Dalek book itself, the design on the Dalek book. And the photos, and it's all in beautiful. It's beautiful glossy pages, Sarah. It's just a magnificent work of art and a cracking read as well. So this is what I've been doing while I've been away. Is busy reading these. They're available from. This one's available from Telos Publishing and Amazon, but they're both available from Amazon. And I can't recommend them highly enough. If you're into your classic Who, which you clearly are, because otherwise you wouldn't be watching the diary, these are highly recommended. Thoroughly enjoyed them. Thank you for I just wanted to make a shout out, because I've just thoroughly enjoyed these books.
Good to see them in print all these years that we've been supporting them.
Brilliant to see them in print, and I say the print quality on them is just utterly magnificent. You won't be disappointed. So take my advice, get those if you haven't got them already. Right, so on to the diary proper. We're going to be coming to an item in a couple of minutes' time that I'm going to tease you with first, and see if anybody in the chat gets what I'm. If I was to sing to you, well, hello, Dolly, or if I was to say to you, down, 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 or if I was to say Doctor, can you guess what I might be talking about in a few minutes' time? I need comments in the chat, please. See if anybody recognises my terrible impressions there. Anyway, back at the diary. You're going to like this, folks. There was only one episode on television this week in years gone by. One episode in the last week of July, and that was in 1964. The Censorites had finally dragged itself to an end with episode 6, and a nation wept quiet tears to themselves and a sigh of relief and pray for something better next week. And the only other episodes that were aired this week in years gone by were Slipback. From 1985, so exactly, what is that? Is that, how many years ago is that? Somebody do the maths for me. 40 years ago, yes. Slipback, episodes 3 and 4 aired this week on Pirate Radio 4, if anybody remembers that. We have talked...
Simon, can you just clarify? I don't know what slipback is.
Slipback. What slipback is, and we have talked about it on the show before, which is why sadly we're not doing it this week. Slipback was the very first audio story that was broadcast, because it fills the stopgap between the end of Revelation of the Daleks and before the Trial of a Time Lord came back. So this was basically this was the answer to Doctor Who having been cancelled. Sadly, with Revelation of the Daleks being the last story of season 22, and then there was this massive 18-month gap, and so John Nathan Turner came up with it. Well, no, actually, I'm wrong there. John Nathan Turner didn't come up with the idea. Somebody at Radio 4 came up with the idea and pitched it to JNT, and of course, JNT being as he was, he grasped it and ran with it, and so we got 6 10-minute episodes, so an hour in total, 60 minutes in total, of Slipback starring Peter Davison. What am I talking about? Colin Baker and Nicola Bryant. And it's out on. You can get it now on CD. It's out there. It's a tough listen. I have to be honest.
Okay.
It's a tough listen.
It's worth a show in and of itself. That I could talk about that until the cows come home for a number of reasons. It was 1985 was a year of ups and downs, mostly downs. But yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, it was cracking stuff.
I just remember every episode ending with Colin Baker yelling, "Perry!"
Yeah,
every episode.
Yeah, that's basically it. That's the one. That's the one. But they were only 10 minutes long, so he didn't. It was over fairly quickly and painlessly. Thank the Lord. We will come to more audio ventures in a minute. Woodhouse122, yes, you are correct in the chat. Duncan the Funky Evans, yes, you too are correct in the chat. We will come to that in a little while. Firstly, before we get into that, we're going to talk about a birthday. We're going to do birthday because one Kenny McBain would have been 79 Monday just gone. Who is Kenny McBain? I hear a whole nation asking. There's the giveaway on the left.
McBain, Simon.
Exactly. There's the giveaway on the left-hand side. Yeah, he's the director of Deep Breath, The Horns of Nimon. Is this worse than the sense rights that we talked about a few minutes ago? I don't know. It's debatable. Kenny McBain, directed The Horns of Nimon back in 1979. The only Doctor Who story he ever directed. I'm not sure why. I honestly don't think it was anything to do with the quality of his work. I think it was more a case because it was the changing of the guard. Obviously, this was the final story of the kind of old guard, as it were, of Graham Williams, before John Nathan Turner came in with a very, very large broom and swept everything clean. And so I think Kenny McBain, bless him, same as all the other directors that had gone before, pretty much were excised by John Nathan Turner for a new broom sweeping clean. Who loves The Horns of Nimon? Is there any love out there for The Horns of Nimon?
I love it.
I don't feel particularly one way or another about it. It's just kind of there for me. It's middling.
Yeah, it's probably the most over-the-top episode of Tom Baker's era, as far as I'm concerned.
Lord Nimon!
Nimon!
Oh my God! Yeah.
I'm all for challenging. I'm all for challenging received fan wisdom, and each time I press play on this is one of several stories. Each time I press play on it, I'm always hopeful of having a different experience, of seeing something else in it. And yet that experience has eluded me when it comes to The Horns of Nimon. But I'll never give up trying until my last breath.
I always think, was this the episode that Anthony Ainley watched to get his idea of the Master?
Well, it probably was, to be honest. Could well be. No, my favourite bit in this is at the end of episode 3 when somebody's trousers split and you see the underwear, and I mean, it's just you just weep. I mean, it's genuine, truly. Somebody's trousers do split on screen, and you see it. And Kenny McBain. Kenny, yeah, you watch the end of episode 3. I can't think of the name of the character. It's some awful actor in an awful character.
Probably one of the better watch with a commentary than actually watch the show.
Yeah.
Oh,
But you know, Matt, I loved it at the time. How old was I at the time? I was 11 years old at the time that this went out, and I loved it back then. Then I loved the Nymon. I loved the platform boots. I still absolutely love Romana's red outfit. I still think it's by far probably the coolest outfit of any companion of all time.
I think that's
period.
the best thing
Done.
in it. She looks incredible in it.
Oh,
She
yeah.
looks stunning.
Yeah.
She looks
Yeah, the
ridiculously
Nymon
sexy.
just really lets it all down, really, with that.
Oh, you said it, Matt. Yes, you're quite right. What? Just the Nymon, not the set, not Soul Deed, not the awful cardboard cutout characters. They all let it down, Matt. It's just terrible. I think
Is a fan in the live chat, and she's not alone. I have to say, the Nymon Massive have made themselves known, including Domgo as well.
Sorry.
And Richard Brooks too. I love Horns of Nymon. What's wrong with you?
Good.
Me
Good.
too.
He loves
Well
it,
done,
ripped
Gary. Good.
trousers And
I'd rather
all.
watch that over a shooty episode.
What is it you love about it, Gary? What do you love
Because
about
I
it?
think because like what Matt said, it's so over the top. They could have easily taken this script into play if they had mounted a Tom Baker led Christmas panto on the stage, and they could have used this script. But I actually think the show has room for something like this that's so wild and overplayed. I don't think it undercuts the series or the way Tom plays it. I think that there's absolutely a place for a story like this.
It's definitely entertaining. I'll give it that.
It is entertaining. I just think that the most excruciating part is when all of the sacrifice teenagers are just sitting in the back of the shop listening to Chicken Tikka and whatever the other name of the other one is, talking to Romana, and the extras in the back are all doing pained acting. They're doing exhausted acting, and it's
I just feel like the Nymon like really belongs at like somewhere like Disneyland or a real cheap theme park, like
But it's not a
those
bad
oversized
design, Matt. To be fair, Matt, it isn't a bad design. I do think, unfortunately, it's in the realization of it, and a lot of it comes down to the budget. Unfortunately, their budget was very low on this story, and it shows. Anyway,
I was going to say, it does look like
go on,
it's got
Charlotte.
the horns look like two massive ice cream cones.
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head. That's the problem.
Madonna watched this when she was a young girl.
Oh, you Philistines.
Don't forget they light up.
I'm sorry, Gary. Anyway, as I say, Kenny McBain, we're doing you a terrible misservice. Bless him. Kenny McBain would have been 79 last Monday had he sadly not died many years ago. He was only 42.
Oh.
42 when he
that's
died.
sad, yeah.
Actually, ironically, on my birthday, 22nd of April, back in 89, he died of Hodgkin's disease. Very sad.
Oh.
At age 42. He was born in Glasgow, as the name might have given you an idea of. He oddly, often on the diary, I'll say, "Oh my goodness, the length of credits for this person, go off the page for IMDb." Sadly, he barely manages to fill a page. Poor old Kenny McBain. He's done some cracking and important stuff, but sadly, not really very prolific. He directed a couple of episodes of Coronation Street in 1981. Directed 8 episodes of Grange Hill. You mentioned Grange Hill a little while ago, Dan. Directed 8 episodes of that in its kind of what are undoubtedly its golden years of the early 80s, early to mid 80s. And he also produced 36 episodes of Grange Hill. So whilst you might not be familiar with his name, you're very familiar with his work.
I knew I'd seen it somewhere.
Yeah, because he worked on, as I say, those 36 episodes in those golden years of when Grange Hill was just huge in the UK. Yeah. And it wouldn't surprise you to discover he was nominated for a BAFTA for his work on Grange Hill. He also produced Boone, 13 episodes of that in 1986. So again, this is high-profile stuff. So he has a very short CV, but some high-profile stuff on there. He also produced 7 episodes of Morse in the late 80s. And in fact, In fact,
Love
he
it.
developed Inspector Morse. It's his name that goes down as the actual person that developed and created Inspector Morse. So, as I say, Sarah, you know, this is big league stuff, but you're just actually not aware of it.
That is top
Both
detective
of
drama.
these shows, Simon, Boone and Inspector Morse, they were sort of like two-pronged part of Central TV's output at the time, weren't they? So both obviously drama, but different forms of drama. One was hour long. Both were shot on film, weren't they? One was hour long and kind of very populist and very bouncy, quite frothy, kind of ITV's answer to Lovejoy. And then you got Inspector Morse, which kind of revolutionised film series detective
absolutely.
dramas.
And these two shows were just absolutely huge. So, as I say, this is why, although you might not be that familiar with his name, actually you are familiar with his work without even realising.
Would he have been responsible then if he set up Morse? Would it have been him that perhaps cast Patrick Troughton in that first one?
It could well be.
Right.
Yep. Definitely
I
could
was
well be.
thinking the exact same thing.
And as I say, he produced a lot of it as well. So yeah, it's highly possible. And is there a kind of a Doctor Who connection there? Because the fact he worked on Horns of Nimon a few years before, who can say? Domgo indeed, hi ho Silver.
And I just want to say
Jim Diamond. Was it Jim Diamond?
And I just want to say Morse, because I love Morse. Morse may have what I think may be the most gorgeous theme song of any TV show.
You're quite right. It's beautiful, isn't it?
Beautifully put
Not
together.
as good as Doctor Who.
Nothing is.
My very, very favourite
Welcome
thing
to the
that he
Morse
ever
podcast.
worked on, of all the stuff that we've talked about, my favourite thing he worked on, he did in exactly the same year as the Horns of Nimon, actually, and that was the Omega Factor. He directed, there you go. He directed the penultimate episode of the Omega Factor, an episode called Double Vision, which is actually, I think, one of the better episodes. And I adore the whole series, but it's actually one of the better episodes. It's one of the spookier and weirder episodes, starring James Hazeldine there on the right, who also sadly died very, very young at just 55. And of course, our favourite Louise Jameson, indeed, Zach Whitten, Louise Jameson, there she is on the left-hand side. She virtually left Doctor Who and went straight into this. They started making it in 78, just after she'd left Doctor Who. It was the next big thing that she did. And we've talked about the Omega Factor before now on the diary. And I just can't recommend this highly enough. If you love your classic Doctor Who, you'll love the Omega Factor. So many of the people who worked on classic Doctor Who, both behind the scenes and in front of the camera, worked on the Omega Factor, and it very much has almost kind of a feel of an adult version of Doctor Who.
I've got a confession to make, Simon. The last time you talked about it on the diary, I was and I had heard of it, but I'd never seen it. So the last time you talked about it, the last time you talked about it, I was so moved by it. I thought, no, I'm gonna take the plunge, and I ordered it. And it's been sat on my shelf for about 18 months. I still haven't watched it.
Oh, bless you. It's only 8 or 9, I'm trying to think, 8, 9, 10 episodes, something like that. It's not an enormously long series. It begins and it ends very clearly. And it's perfect for coming up with, horrifying. We're already thinking about we're coming into autumn. And so the Omega Factor is the perfect kind of thing to watch in autumn time. It's not something you'd watch in the summer. Wait until sort of September time, middle of September, and it's just perfect time to be watching the Omega Factor. It's a cracking series, and Louise Jameson is as brilliant as you would obviously imagine she would be. So highly recommended. There we go. Look at that. That's the one. That's what I'm talking about.
I'm going to have to seek this out now. We'll have to watch it together, Dan.
It might be, Sarah. It might be.
Yeah, we could do that. I've got that.
It might be on. I hate to mention the word. It might be on a streaming service somewhere.
Well,
I don't know.
Robert Payne has just said it's on YouTube.
Oh, there you go. Really?
Oh, there you go.
Is it?
Whoops.
Wow.
Most things are, but yeah, we can't be seen to endorse it. But yes, most things are. If you dig deep enough, and Matthew Pounder says it's on his watch list as well, so I don't feel quite so guilty.
Please,
knowing that
all
it's,
these
it's
people,
Saturday.
please come back and tell us whether you've watched it in a few weeks' time. Let us know, because I'd love to know if people have watched it. Because I say you should. It's a cracking watch, thoroughly enjoyable. And I say that is my personal favourite of the stuff that he worked on, and that just trumps the Horns of Nimon just ever so slightly for me.
For me, it's the Grange Hill. This period in Grange Hill, the specific period, was not just a point where it evolved. I don't think he was attached to it for very long, a year or two at the most.
It was 2 years, yeah.
Looking at this was when the show really evolved and started to be not necessarily issue-led, but developed a kind of social conscience and became more modern, I think, because when it initially started, it was a little sort of like the Beano and the Dandy TV form. So it did feel kind of semi-real, but only in the same way a lot of children's dramas did over this time. The school, like the building, the classrooms, all of that stuff, it was just like my own school. They expanded the cast and rounded out the characters to be a little more three-dimensional. So now that you've said it was down specifically to the involvement of Kenny McBain, that does make sense to me.
Yeah.
Why the series seemed to drastically change.
And the years that he was in, of course, these were the Mrs. McCluskey years. So, you know, for certain people, absolutely, you will remember Mrs. McCluskey. She was just brilliant. And so, yeah, they were happy days for me. And Robert Payne says in the chat, you're quite right. Just say no. Just say no. No. That's my second bit of singing for the evening. Again, that'll bring shudders to certain members of the audience. It was, Kenny McBain was not responsible for Just Say No campaign. It was just after he'd left, but nonetheless, you're right, Dan. Kenny McBain would have been one of the people who were laying the foundations for Grange Hill growing up that led to the Just Say No campaign literally a year or so later. Happy sort of celestial birthday to Kenny McBain from last Monday.
It's always so sad when you read the dates on some of these lifespans. I know none of us know what we've got awaiting us in our future, but my word, it's just
42.
goes to show you got to enjoy life.
Yes, certainly have.
Absolutely.
Save every birthday. It's a privilege to get older. It's reading stuff like this. Yeah,
quite right. Enjoy every day, and indeed, we're going to enjoy the next sort of 10 minutes or so, because certainly a couple of people were right in the chat, because what we were talking about is it is exactly 49 years ago since this little beauty was released. There we go. Doctor Who and the Pescatons. There we are. Oh, look at this. I've still got, where is it? There we go. I've still got the price sticker up there. If you can just about make that out. WH
Wow.
£2.50. Look at that. So that's very.
Is that your original copy from way back in the day, Simon?
It is. And I remember stumbling on this. It would have been, it was released in 1976. I think it was about 77 that I stumbled across this. I wasn't aware, because again, you know, pre-internet days, you weren't aware of this kind of stuff coming out. And I stumbled across it literally just in my WH Smiths the one day on a Saturday lunchtime, as you'd gone into town as you used to do with your pocket money. And I stumbled across it, but I hadn't got enough money to buy it at £2.50. So I had to leave it in the shop, go home, get some extra money, pray that it was still there when I got back, and of course, sure enough, it was. Surprisingly, nobody else had snapped it up, and so there we go. I took my copy of the Pescatons. I felt sure that my rendition of Hello Dolly would have given it away to more people, but clearly not. Doctor Who and the Pescatons is infamous for Tom Baker singing Hello Dolly. So what this is, for those people that are thinking, what on earth is Doctor Who and the Pescatons? This was, so we talked about Slipback a few minutes ago, which was the first broadcast audio story, within canon. I mean, theoretically, anybody remembers Exploration Earth, which also was recorded at the same time as Doctor Who and the Pescatons, had Tom Baker and Liz Sladen in. That was the school's 20-minute little drama that was broadcast. So you might class that theoretically, Sleepback was the sort of first canonical story to be broadcast. This, the Pescatons, was the very first audio story ever to be released, the first official audio story, because it was officially sanctioned by the BBC, released on Argo Records, but sanctioned, as I say, by the BBC, and starring none other than Tom Baker and Elizabeth Sladen. If you've never heard it, it is available on, or at least it was available on CD. I'm assuming you can still pick it up fairly cheaply on eBay.
Lots of new editions of this.
Discontinued. There's been so many editions of this, Dan. So many times this has been re-released. It's a curio. It's an odd record in that, unlike something like the Genesis of the Daleks record, which came out just a year or two later, this is just it's an audio story read by Tom Baker, with a few sort of interjections by Liz Sladen and by another actor. There's only 3 actors in it. The third one is a guy called Bill Mitchell, who we will come to in a moment, because there's interesting stuff about Bill Mitchell. He plays Zor, which is how he pronounces his name. And as I say, he pronounces the Doctor as Doctor. For reasons, as I say, that will become apparent. Has anybody listened to this? Sarah, Charlotte, Gary,
I've listened to it for the first time this week, especially for the...
What did you make of it, Sarah? I'm terrified to ask.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I just thought this was clearly influenced by Jaws. This was Let's Get Doctor Who and Jaws. And yeah, it was a bit shrill, I've got to say.
Shrill, that's a good word.
My ears were hurting.
Hurting at the end.
Concept, I thought, if I was like 10 years old at the time,
which I was,
I would have been lapping this up. So I could probably could appreciate more, as a child, as an adult. But it was a fun listen.
Yeah, it's good. It's an interesting listen. It's a lot of fun. There is the advert for it from way back in sort of '76 when it was released. So this was, as I say, I missed it at the time, but it was easily missed. But it was reasonably high profile at the time. Charlotte, have you listened to this yet?
No, and that's because Dan did send it to me, and I feel terrible because I didn't listen to it.
Oh, it's quite all right. Don't worry. You're still allowed here.
I know. I feel like I've not done my homework. But so how many of these sort of audio stuff did they do? Because obviously this is way before we got like.
This was it. Nope. This was it.
One.
Just the one. Just this is all they did. They did it as an experiment.
Did they literally do this? Right. Okay.
Just this.
If this was like a precursor range to then what we got later on, I didn't know this was them sort of feeling how you would do Doctor Who.
No.
Audio.
It was quite a high profile release as well. And I found that as I was making my way into fandom, I'd already got 1 copy of this at the time. I've now got 4 on vinyl.
That's 3 too many, Dan.
What I found is it tended to be the one item that every fan had got, which they sort of thought was rare, but that it turned out every other fan had got.
Everybody had got.
Is what I found.
Is this the Doctor Who equivalent of the Sound of Music soundtrack? Everybody
Perhaps.
Do you like it, Gary? You were nodding.
I do. It's I had the I can't remember if I ever had it on cassette, but I do still have the CD, and I think it's packaged with Exploration Earth. But I remember when I first heard it, because I mean, how could you look? It's an original story with the Tom Baker Doctor. How could you not get it? So I just remember like closing my eyes and just getting lost in his voice. The story is almost incidental.
Agree totally. You are listening purely to, in effect, Tom Baker, and he's at the top of his game at this point, and he does it beautifully. He eats the scenery whilst he's doing it, but he does it brilliantly. Although Bill Mitchell, as I say, arguably eats the scenery far more as the thing develops. A little bit of background about it. It was written by Victor Pemberton, who, of course, had worked on the series previously. He had written, and there's a running theme here, he had written Fury from the Deep. And so this is kind of based almost on Fury from the Deep. Fury from the Deep itself was based on an audio play that he'd written called The Slide, which was also set under the water. So as I say, you're beginning to get a feel of where Victor Pemberton's interests lay. And truth be told, this Doctor in the Pescatons is very much a cross between Fury from the Deep, in that you've got seaweed monsters, you've got creatures which are ultimately destroyed by sound in effect. A spoiler for anybody that hasn't yet listened to Pescatons, I'm afraid it's the Doctor's piccolo. Are you recognising any crossover there with the second Doctor? It's the Doctor's piccolo that Tom Baker is playing that ultimately sort of leads to the destruction of the creature, just like sound is the thing that destroys the seaweed creature from Fury from the Deep. So there is a lot of crossover there. And then it's also a bit of a mashup of the War of the Worlds, you know, the whole invasion thing with these meteorites coming to Earth.
On that as well. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not desperately original, Sarah, if we are brutally honest. But Victor Pemberton's a cracking writer, and I've always liked his stuff. I've always, respected him as a writer. So, and truth be told, it's classic Doctor Who. The book there that he did write many years later, with a cover by great friend of mine, Pete Wallbank. That was his first, I think, and only Target book cover, Pete Wallbank's. But Victor Pemberton wrote the book. It's not a great book, to be honest. I can't tell you. I'm not going to advise anybody to go away.
Only.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a tough read.
I'm not keen on the art either. For that book.
Bless him, Pete Wallbank was kind of said afterwards himself since then that it's not the best piece of art he ever did. He was developing his craft at that time, I think it's fair to say. But I think that I have to be honest. I think the Tom is cracking on that. I think that he's done a good version of Tom.
I remember talking to Pete when he was commissioned to do this. We were at a Whonitics meeting in Warsaw, and I'd got to know Pete quite well there as well. Yeah, because obviously we were in the same field. He used to give me advice.
Of course, yes, of course.
And he just had the commission for this, and he was so nervous looking back. Pete was impossibly cool back then. He dressed like Simon Le Bon in the Wild Boys video.
He did.
And,
totally
the first
black.
person I ever actually met in real life with a designer stubble. I'd only ever seen them on Don Johnson's and Lee Major's chins on television before. But Pete was really nervous about doing this, and he couldn't quite believe it. And also, he knew it was the last one as well. So he knew that he just got in there under the wire. So yeah, it's just brought back that memory. But isn't it funny how these things just come back to you?
Oh, good for him, though.
Oh, absolutely good for him. And bless him, he always sort of cites the Whonitics as having got him the gig because he was doing covers for Second Dimension, and that was where he got spotted. Bless him, which is lovely. But there we are. There's Tom and Liz literally recording Doctor in the Pescatons there on the right hand side, and yeah, as you can see, it made the press. It made the news stories. And,
I like that, Matthew.
Yeah, it's.
I love
Go
the
on,
picture
Charlotte.
of Tom. It's like, can we pick one where his eyes are bugged out as most as possible?
Bugged out.
That was Tom in those days. That was Tom. It was all about the eyes. It was all down to the eyes. The problem I have with the Pescatons record is, and you can kind of see here that they sound like they're standing in a big echoey studio. It doesn't sound like, certainly the first scene set on the beach. They just sound like they're in a room and they're supposed to be on a beach. So it's really not the greatest recording in the world, but there we are. And I always get frustrated. Am I the only one who gets sort of frustrated by Doctor Who as a series, the tendency to call monsters after kind of what they are? Pescatons, they come out of the sea, so we'll call them something that sounds a little bit like that's derived from pesca, which is Italian for fish. And the same with things like Iridians, who come from an arid planet, so it's got to be called Iridius. Cryons, who clearly live in cryogenic chambers. Mechanoids, pyroviles, adipose. Am I the only one who just gets slightly irritated by alien
Yeah, they should
races?
start calling them Bruce and
that are named after exactly. That are named after what they are.
When it comes to if it was something like Star Trek, which is kind of proper sci-fi, really, I'd agree with you. But because it's Doctor Who and it's not really sci-fi, it's not really anything. This is why I always think of Doctor Who as a fantasy show. Its approaches, I think its treatment of sci-fi is similar to its treatment of history, in that it's kind of cod history and cod sci-fi. So when they do that, I think the idea is, and how it works is, because it did happen for me, is I would look up those words in, say, for example, Latin or Hebrew, and find out what they actually meant. And so, therefore, it was educating me in an entertaining way to inform and to entertain, which is part of the remit of the show back in. So I think it's an integral part of the charm of the show. I wouldn't change it in a million years.
Wow. Okay, it's just me then. It's clearly me.
It's just miserable.
It's just me. It's just me.
Yeah, and to me, it just feels like classic Doctor Who.
Well, maybe that's what it is, Sarah. You're right.
But I had to laugh though, because not only was it the planet Pesca in the constellation of Pisces, I'm like, all right, you're just going too far now.
Oh yeah,
too much fish going on.
Stop while you're ahead. I'm going to let dear old Queen Charlotte go before I give the final little facts about the Pescadons, because I think it's bedtime for Charlotte. So we're going to say
10 o'clock.
Good night, Charlotte, before you turn into a pumpkin.
It's been lovely to be on with everybody.
Lovely to have you,
I've
Charlotte.
enjoyed it so
Great
much.
to be back, isn't it?
Take care. Night, Charlotte.
She's got to go. She's got to go polish her crown.
And she was gone. So yeah, the final little bit really on the Pescatons. I said I'd talk about Bill Mitchell. I will talk about a little bit about Bill Mitchell, because as I say, his voice is something to behold on this record. Once heard, never forgotten. Is Bill Mitchell as Zor, the Pescaton. Bill Mitchell is Canadian. He was also known, his nickname was the Bear. And
you don't want to know why?
Well, I think you kind of see when you see him, when you see what he was in, the kind that he's again, he has got a hugely long CV, but he's got various stuff out there, such as he was in Supergirl, and so he did a few films. There we go. There he is in Supergirl.
He was the one that tried to hit on her, and so yes, he ends up on his back. That's for sure.
Yeah. But I can kind of see maybe why he was called the Bear, but also maybe it is down to his voice. He used to be a bouncer, which again probably doesn't surprise you looking at the at what he physically looks like there. He supposedly, his deep voice was supposedly due to mumps at age 12. That he suffered from mumps, and that's how he ended up with a very deep voice. I'm not sure as I believe that, but that's supposedly what he claimed. But as a result of this, as a result of his very, very deep voice, you will not be surprised to discover that he did an awful lot of movie trailers. The kind of coming soon sort of movie trailers. And
a world.
Yeah,
there you go. And a lot of adverts, also a lot of adverts. Now, people of a certain vintage, probably the kind of people who would have been watching Grange Hill in the early 80s, will remember all of these adverts that I'm about to remind you of that Bill Mitchell did the voice for. And as soon as I tell you, you'll be like, of course he did the voice for that. So, do you remember the Cadbury's Flake advert? The crumbliest, flakiest chocolate in the world. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Bill Mitchell. That was Bill Mitchell. Carlsberg, probably the best lager in the world. Bill Mitchell. You see, there's a theme going on
I hope
here.
Somebody's clipping this. I want everything that Simon said, all the impressions.
And this one,
we
you will remember. If you were watching The Horns of Nymon in 1979, you will undoubtedly remember the advert for denim aftershave for men who don't have to try too hard. Bill Mitchell.
I'd like to see that ad.
Adam Dare mentions that in the live chat.
There we go.
Advert.
There we go.
I mean, earlier on we talked a little bit about looking up dramas on YouTube, and we can't endorse that, obviously. But when it comes to old adverts, we absolutely can, because nobody owns them, nobody releases this stuff.
Correct.
I recommend you go
Seriously.
and these adverts enough. Brilliant fun.
Go and find the denim adverts. Adam is quite right. It's a woman's. It couldn't be racier if it tried. This woman's hand wandering down, unbuttoning the man's shirt as he gets lower and lower on the line.
Wow.
Too hard. I mean, how they got away with it, I don't know. But that was Bill Mitchell.
I'm not sure they did get away with it, to be fair.
The times were different, and so he claims that he carefully maintains this deep-throated voice through cigarettes and alcohol. So again, as you say, times were different.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Correct. So this was, as I say, Bill Mitchell. Amazingly, he did appear in Doctor Who, although actually he didn't appear in Doctor Who. Sadly, he played the part of a newscaster in Frontier in Space. But get this, he was cut from the final edit. So he's in Doctor Who, but he never actually made it into Doctor Who. But anybody that wants to see him, the other place you will see him he's in You Only Live Twice. He is the American astronaut in the second capsule, the second space capsule that ends going into the Smersh open-fronted spaceship. He's the second. Honestly, Matt, you couldn't make this stuff up. He is the second American astronaut. So every time you watch You Only Live Twice from now on, and it's one of my favorite films of all time.
He's just astronaut number 2.
No, he's just astronaut number 2. Come on, Matt. Come on. But that is Bill Mitchell, who plays Zor in Doctor Who and the Pescatons.
Simon, why did they only do one of these? I would think that these wouldn't be so cost prohibitive to do. I mean, to get like
it would have been dead cheap. I mean, 3 actors in a room. They weren't expected to do. I think, to be honest, Gary, I just think again, times were different. They just didn't capitalize on stuff back then. Because when you think how popular Tom was at this point, I just don't think they clocked it. They just didn't realize they were sitting on a gold mine, that they could have churned these out, one a month kind of thing, and we would all have lapped them up.
Yep.
But yet, just didn't happen.
Would there have been a reason why Harry wasn't in it? Like
Harry had left by then. Yeah, sadly, Harry had left. Yeah, because they recorded it.
I was just thinking, was this at the beginning of the new season for?
It was right. Okay, it was released in July '76, so it would be between. It would be without me checking up the dates. I am pretty confident it will be between the end of Revenge of the Cybermen and before Terror of the Zygons kicked off. Okay. So yeah, Harry had left. Actually, theoretically, Matt, I'm wrong. Harry was still actually there in Terror of the Zygons. That's what I'm thinking. He'd left in terms of he'd finished on the show. He was no longer on the show. Yeah. And so I think, truth be told, because this was made at the time that Ian Marter would have left, I think that they would have just gone with. But also, it would have been down to cost again. It was a really cheap record to produce because all you
only 3 stars.
Three actors.
And I would imagine that it was the cost as well of booking recording time in a studio was probably why they doubled it up with recording Exploration Earth, because that was for
correct
Scores Radio, wasn't it? So for someone else completely, really, but they could have pulled resources. How things were financed. How things were financed back then.
Could it just be as well that there wasn't just enough time, because obviously it was ongoing filming and you wouldn't have had time to work out a studio.
Yeah, they were working.
Doctor was on a lot more back then.
True. Stephen O'Neill has just reminded me in the chat, and I'd forgotten it was the hot summer in '76. You absolutely spot on. I had forgotten, Stephen. It was indeed the hot summer of '76. I remember it well, the drought. And in fact, they were filming now. They were filming episode 3 of The Deadly Assassin. This literally now in 1976. That's why those scenes, all of the film stuff in The Deadly Assassin episode 3 looks so hot and sweaty, because it was being filmed at the time of the drought.
Was it the popularity of this record that they decided to release the Genesis of the Daleks?
Thing? Okay. I think so. So maybe it was a case that they kind of saw the popularity of this and thought, okay, let's do another one. But instead of
Paying money for.
correct, all they had to do was pay Tom to come in and do a handful of lines of narration on the Genesis of the Daleks LP. So yeah, as to say, but and also I've got to shout out to Peter Harrington, who is reminding me in the chat. Ian Marter has one line in the Medusa Touch. We've spoken about the Medusa Touch before now, and again, I can't recommend the Medusa Touch highly enough. Ian Marter has one line in it, and is indeed credited as Ian Master. It credits for some reason typo. Bless him, poor old Ian Marter.
That's the Richard Burton movie, isn't it? The Medusa Touch.
The Richard
Don't
Burton
like
movie.
that one.
I haven't seen it for a number of years. I mean, for me, the Pescatons, I'm not joking. I cherished my copy of the Pescatons.
Me too.
Doctor Who merchandise was so thin on the ground for a start.
Yeah.
Also, Tom Baker's Doctor was an incarnation of the character I could only dimly remember by the point that I got this. There weren't any videos available. I had this just before the boom in videos and things became more affordable. And so I played it over and over again. Simply because it was the only way to hear a little bit of more of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
As such, my original copy is very, very dog-eared but well loved. I bought a couple of them since, and obviously I tend to play the newer one and leave the original. But I'm even fond of the cover artwork, which is very distinctive and very, very 70s.
Yes.
It may not be for a lot of people. It's perhaps isn't everybody's cup of tea. But it's a very distinctive piece of artwork associated to an important item of merchandise, which some people could say is a work of art in itself, which is worthy of being hung in someone's home, and that's just what this person actually did. Can you guess who hung a copy of the Pescatons in their home there?
Who could it be?
Who
could it be?
It was none other than Sarah Jane Smith herself.
Oh,
look at that.
In a photo shoot.
Oh, I
from
love
the
that.
mid-70s.
Books. I love the books. All part
yeah,
of
I love that house.
Love it.
Doesn't that just scream Liz Sladen, that house?
Probably the 80s, actually, isn't it? Early to mid 80s.
Yeah, I would
say
say that's early
Liz's
80s.
hair.
I would say that's early 80s.
That's a good way of using your space.
Yep.
Yeah.
Decluttering is overrated. I'm with Liz. 100%. Get the album covers up on the wall. Why not?
I'm just
Well,
looking.
Humphrey Bogart too.
My hall is that colour orange with the white as well, so I'm really on trend now.
There you go. That's such an 80s outfit that Liz Sladen's wearing. It's got to be early 80s.
Yeah.
I'm guessing about 82, 83, something like that.
I was distracted by the colour of the walls, because problem being is quite right in the live chat. The orange wall is very 70s.
Yes.
But
Yes, it
Liz's
is.
outfit does give it away as being the 1980s.
Pale
I feel,
grey.
but
It's
what
got
a
to be 82.
fabulous.
But isn't
Right.
that lovely that she's got a copy of Pescatons up on her wall framed? That's so sweet. So it must have meant something to her. And it is a lovely piece of artwork. I remember luxuriating over it. I remember just sitting, listening to this LP, which lasts about 45 minutes. And I just sat and stared at that artwork. I just stared at every scale on Zor's body. I don't know why. It is a cracking piece of artwork. It's very sort of pop art, isn't it? I've got to give a shout out as well to Rob Alexander in the chat. Thank you, Rob, has corrected me. Of course, well done. I'm always first to admit when I've got it wrong. You are quite right. This would have been released between the Seeds of Doom and the Mask of Man.
13 and 14.
Correct. So the end of season 13 and beginning of season 14, I was a year out. Of course I was. That would have been 75 between Revenge of the Cybermen and Seeds and Terror of the Zygons. So thank you, Rob, for putting me right quite correctly too. So yeah, happy 49th birthday to Doctor Who and the Pescatons. There we go. What can you say?
49 years. I'm going to go and play it again in whatever form. I've got the CD. I've got it on tape as well, and there is a digital version. I think it's on the season 12 Blu-ray.
Yeah, season 14. I think it's season 14 Blu-ray. Dan. Yeah. I think it's
tucked
on
away somewhere, as is completely appropriate.
Yeah, and a shout out as well. I can't remember who. Somebody made a comment as well in the chat earlier. I did say right at the beginning about the down down that Tom does, as only Tom can do. It's happy. I've just got very, very happy memories of just sitting listening to this record. It's and I can't believe it's 49 years ago. I feel so old, but there we go. Happy birthday,
9 years ago.
Pescatons.
I can't believe it's about 9 weeks since we last had an entry or two from the Doctor Who
Is
Diary.
it that long?
Oh God!
Great to have you back, and what a
Lovely
treat
to
as
be
well
back.
to talk about such a seminal slice of the 70s Doctor Who experience there. That certainly carried me right the way through to the 90s until they started putting out stuff more regularly, and then eventually, obviously, the Big Finish range of the BBC Records ranges and everything that we got eventually. I think Pescatons definitely pointed the way.
Yeah, absolutely. It's seminal, I think, is a fair word. Classy is probably not a fair word to level at the Pescatons, but seminal definitely is.
A terrific catch up with the Doctor Who Diary. Thank you so much, Simon. And you
Very
can
well.
show your appreciation too in the comments section. Have we stirred up some memories there of any of those shows that Kenny McBain worked on too? Inspector Morse, Boone, for example, Omega Factor, or those seasons of Grange Hill, which really did break a lot of ground for anybody. If you're a kid in the middle of the 80s, you would definitely remember those days very fondly. And Kenny McBain's integral part, it seems, in the evolution of a show that would still go on and run for another couple of decades.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks again, Simon. What a cracking diary. And
Very well.
yeah, I can't wait until the next one.
Very good.
Yes, this is Type 40 Live on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X. That was the Doctor Who Diary. You can show your appreciation and chip in there with your memories in the comments section. As always, there'll be more to come, all in good time and space, I'm certain. Stay tuned for more from the Doctor Who Diary and everything else that makes up Type 40 Live.
Now, I suggest you start watching Type 40, because I can't. I've got to watch this little blighter. The job for... I'll have less of that from you, thank you very much. Know your place.
Know your place.
Look, if I have to run up a flight of stairs, you come and find me.
I'll be in the lift.
That's going to the bottom of the floor, then. Keep watching Type 40. There's good chaps.
I love it when the Dalek says, know your place.
A blast back through the Doctor Who history books that's bound to clear away the confusion and the noise of the 21st century, and trans multimedia events and of streaming platforms and all those other bits of nonsense of doctors that are not doctors that are here one day and gone the next, and everything else that drives us to frustration here on Type 40 Live. What a cracking show. It's great to have you back, Sarah and Simon. I hope that it's a return visit sooner rather than later as well.
I think I'm going to change my tag now to obscene vegetable matter. That
I know. Somebody's just Matthew Pounder has just said in the chat, great name for a pop band.
yeah.
I'd go see him.
Makes me think of prefab sprout, that kind of thing.
How can
Was
you
she
even say?
was she
how can you
talking
say
about Wurzel
obscene
damage
vegetable-
there?
How can you even say obscene vegetable matter with a straight face? How can
all the seeds of doom. OVM would be what all the
No,
cool kids
Yeah,
would call the
OVM.
boy band. Yeah.
OVM.
Right. Lots of gratitude for the diary and the live chat, Simon. Great to see the diary again, says Tom from T Dwarf Productions.
Oh, bless you all.
Look at all this. Funky is looking for Boone. I want to find it on DVD.
Oh.
It was out on the network DVD label. Now, if you remember, they sadly went bump about 18 months, 2 years ago. Some of their titles are getting picked up by old gold media. So if Boone isn't one of them yet, it probably will be in the near future. So it does mean that you have to hit eBay. In the meantime, there are copies of Boone still sort of dotted around. You can buy them season by season or in a big chunky box set. So it is out there, but you have to go. Yeah, you have to go with physical media. It could be streaming somewhere as well. Come to think of it, on ITVX maybe. but I always go with physical media, as I may have mentioned in the past. If you want to chip in on all of that, I don't think, if we did a show of hands, I think most people prefer physical media there in the Type 40 live chat. But if you do have other opinions, of course, they're more than welcome. You can drop us those, or simply come and say hello at our social medias.
That's never gonna get old, is it?
Instagram and X at Type 40 Doctor Who, or you can join us in the Type 40 Doctor Who Facebook group. Of course you can. You can chip in with the conversations that are already up and running. Yes, a lot of the arguments do tend to be quite circular, but we view it as a form of therapy over there in the Type 40 Facebook group. You can come and steam in there with your thoughts on streaming. Take a snap of you with your copy of Doctor Who and the Pescatons, whether it's a vintage copy or something you've managed to find in a Chazza shop. In the meantime, it all counts, and it's all welcome there on our wall in the Type 40 Facebook group. Just like any kind of feedback whatsoever in audio form, you can leave us a message, a prediction, a request, or a referral there on SpeakPipe. Drop us a message and be part of the show, whether it's the podcast or the live stream, or from the palm of your own hand, well, the smart a device of your choice. You know what I'm getting at.
We get it.
Okay, yes. We're covering all things Doctor Who for all 62. Is it 62 years of Doctor Who? Near enough. It will take a few years. We don't know where it's going in the short term, but we're determined to still have fun in the here and now, and see through the rest of 2025 whether they are going to tell us anything or not. We don't need them, do we? We don't even need Doctor Who to be on the TV to keep us going with great conversations. You can catch up on past editions of the live stream in our playlists, as always, whether it's our regular editions, the early edition from a Monday, the Big Who of a Thursday, our dedicated episodes where we do a deep dive at the latest Blu-ray releases, or we celebrate a key Doctor Who figure from the times past. It needn't necessarily be an actor. It could be a producer, a director, anybody who's made a huge difference to the Whoniverse over the last 62 years. All fair game. We've got no idea what's coming next. So if we don't know, it must be worth you stubbing and finding out, I would say. Okay. What a great night. What an exhaustive bounce around the Whoniverse that's been. I think it could be worth going and getting a bite to eat or something to quench the thirst. Matt, as our real-life time traveller, mate, it's already well into Friday for you. What are your predictions for Friday and for the coming weekend? What are you looking forward to, mate? Play with your Dalek helmet?
That thing will be going up on the shelf. I do not play with toys, no. But yes, I'm actually I'm planning to watch the Great Race. That it's like I'm putting aside 3 hours to watch the Great
Love
Race.
that
Because
movie.
I've never actually seen it all the way through. So yeah, it's just too long for me, Gary. So
It's great. You'll love it.
I hope you managed to get some batteries for your Dalek headgear, nonetheless, so you can get the voice synthesizer working.
Well, to be honest, I've tried numerous batteries in it already and they don't work. So, yeah, it just looks like it's that part that doesn't work. Mind you, it's nearly 20 years old. So, things aren't built to last anymore.
No, it would be, yeah, coming up to 20 years,
yeah.
Sarah.
As I said, it literally was released when David Tennant was announced as a Doctor, so that's how old it is. You got that old ad too, haven't you, Dan? The one that you put up with all the kids in it.
That's the one. Yeah.
But the thing is, though, the thing is so heavy you can't wear it for too long. It just weighs your head down. I don't know how kids could have worn it.
Oh, I should have asked him to keep it on for the whole show, Gary. I missed the
Oh,
trick.
yeah, I know.
Make him sweat.
You would have done
Make
that
him
too.
suffer. Gary does.
Matt needs to wear that helmet all the time on every show, and Simon needs to talk like Bill Mitchell on every show.
I thought you said Phil Mitchell for a minute. I can't imagine that. Oh, what fun! What larks!
No,
Don't be
I'm going
illegal.
back to dimensions in time. I'm getting flashback.
Oh no! Fight it, Sarah. Fight it.
Absolute madness. Okay, yes, thank you everybody for chipping in on this edition of Type 40 Live. The Big Who for your Thursday from 8 p.m. every Thursday. Here we are, and we'll do it all over again next week. Well, not literally all over again. It may not even be the same combination of voices and viewpoints, but that's the trick, isn't it? We don't really know what's coming, and neither do you. Heaven knows what could have happened between now and next Thursday throughout the Whoniverse. We're still waiting for any kind of announcement about where things could go in the short term or the long term. But as soon as we get an inkling, we'll get right back to you with our opinions, and we can see if we can make any sense of it all. Heaven knows Circuit Breaker stands a chance of not really making any sense to anybody. So,
so that's a reasonably good guess, Dan.
If you're expecting answers, don't.
That's right.
I understand you're off on manoeuvres for a little while again now, Simon.
I'm afraid so. But I'm hoping. Thursdays are. But I'm hoping to be popping in on Monday shows. So fingers crossed.
There you go. So make sure you're here for more Type 40 Live, our mix of news, views, banter, discussions, and nostalgia every Monday and Thursday from 8 p.m. Stay tuned. You never know who's going to materialize. You, Gary. And thank you again for your company, mate.
Absolutely. No, this has been like I said, an epic panel. It's been an honor to be with everybody.
Been lovely to be on board. Been a good show.
Epic.
That's all right.
Really enjoyed it. I love you guys.
It's always worth it to turn up and wonder which baseball cap Gary's going to be sporting, isn't it, Sarah?
Although, well, you know what? This was an honor of Simon because I knew he was coming back. I knew.
You're so kind.
So I had to get the classic logo back in honor of Simon's return.
Quite right too. Thank you. You know I love that one, and there it is on the top of the Pescatons record as well. Right. So lots of classic logos this time.
That's right.
Awesome stuff. So. And yeah, is that everybody? Sarah, what a treat to have you back as well. You and I have been having some very casual discussions on Type 40 Extra for the last month or so, haven't we? But you're going to be back a little more regularly on the live stream as well from now on, I think.
I am. I'm hoping so. Yeah, you never know when I'm going to appear. I'm going to keep you all on your toes.
Behave yourselves. Put it away.
I know I can't be dirty at the end once Charlotte leaves.
Tune in to see if she has some obscene vegetable matter with her.
I guess the ransom used to. Yes, absolutely.
Compost.
Sincerely, Sarah, great to have you back, and looking forward to more. So stay tuned for more videos, podcasts, and live streams, of course, with all of us. What a great assortment of comments we've had in the live chat as well. I think they'll all be up Googling later on or hitting eBay to see if they can get a copy of the Pescatons for the least amount. I don't know. See if it's sold out, or maybe the novel there with Pete Warbank's fabulous.
No, avoid the novel. Sorry, there I said it.
One thing's for certain: I doubt many people will be looking to pre-order anything to do with Circuit Breaker in the near future. But obviously, you know, all opinions are valid as always here at Type 40 Live. If you feel differently about Circuit Breaker, let us know. Did you enjoy Time Lord Victorious and God forbid Doomsday? What have we missed? And which examples of which brands getting it right can you give us that we can pass along to BBC Studios so we don't have to endure this for a possible fourth or fifth time? Because let's be honest, it's getting a little bit sad. Last thing we want is a sad weekend stretching out ahead of us. Hope you have a fabulous time, everybody. Thank you all for your company, and to you out there too. We always have the time if you have the space here at Type 40 Live. We'll see you back next week, Mondays and Thursdays from 8 p.m. But that's it for another one. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Duggan.